Hi, I'm Katie. I worked on the host committee, and welcome to Columbus and Phoenix City, one of the South's best kept secrets.
Hey, I'm Robert Watkins. On behalf of the Georgia Power Company, we want to welcome you to Columbus.
I'm Mary Sherman, Executive Director of the Columbus Sports Council. We are thrilled to welcome you to this amazing place that we are fortunate to call home. We hope you have a wonderful experience here in our community and hope you come back often.
Hey, I'm Justin Krieg from the Historic Columbus Foundation and a part of the ICF host committee. We're so excited to have you all here with us in Columbus, Georgia. We hope you have a great time.
Hi, I'm Betsy Covington. I'm on the host committee and I'm the president of the Community Foundation here. We are so glad to welcome you to this community. When you are here, you are family, and welcome to the group. Thanks.
Hey everybody, Dennis Beeson, Chamber of Commerce of East Alabama. We want to welcome you to the Chattahoochee Valley.
And we are back.
All right, guys, welcome back. We are moments away from starting off with our preliminary heats 5. This is another stacked heat. It's been nothing but stacked heat after stacked heat for this competition. Coming up next, we're going to have Harry Price of Great Britain, Tuski Anasma of Finland, Bartosz Zaderna of Poland, Eric Jackson of the United States, and Dylan Grar of the United States.
If you're just joining us, I'm Anna Bruno, joined here by Zach Swangenberg of Canada.
Yes, and this is the 2022 World Cup of Freestyle Kayaking. This is the second and final of our 2 World Cups. Our first one was earlier this week, upstream about a couple miles on another feature called Ambush, but this wave is called Good Wave. And we are legitimately about to begin. I think we have a paddler lining up, and that paddler will be Harry Price.
Harry Price of Great Britain, one of a new generation of talent coming out of the Nottingham HPP Whitewater course, starting things off with a massive air screw, going for an air screw the other direction, and moving over to surfer's right. Harry, a really talented hole boater, but also a very strong wave boater, as he is showing here now. I believe that was a beautiful Pan Am to the left. Harry may be a top 3 finisher in the Garburator World Championships as a junior kayaker. And so really has just had, years to kind of hone the craft since then. And I know he is looking to make his way back to the finals. Massive helix to the right, starting things off with a strong first ride of 4, going for a Pan Am the other direction, maybe a back blunt, back Pan Am on the buzzer.
Yeah, that was an amazing start to this heat. And something that I must agree with is that his favorite place to paddle is the Lachine Rapids up in the St. Lawrence River in Canada. Those are absolutely phenomenal waves, and he's showing what he can do on those waves here in Columbus.
That is a fun surprise. Yeah, I think it's amazing how many of these paddlers travel all over the world in search of rivers and features, and then to have such world caliber athletes here at this World Cup.
Yeah, so here we're just watching the replay as the judges finish tallying up the score. Seeing him drop into what was a beautiful helix.
Yeah, Harry, a really powerful paddler. You can see how much energy he goes going into the edge as he drives into his rail into the water, and just the boat just flies off of it and releases. The sun glinting off of the carbon there. I hope it doesn't blind him. It is certainly going to dazzle the judges, though.
Definitely, yeah. The sun's getting really warm here as we're about midway
Look at this
through.
back Pan Am.
Look at that. It was beautiful.
Absolutely textbook, right on the buzzer as well. So you see the rides here coming in, the ride score coming in 763.33 points. Solid first ride score for Harry.
And up next, we're going to have Tusku Anisma, one of a few Finnish paddlers here. They
making a strong showing this World Cup.
Definitely. They took 2 silver medals in senior men and junior men at the first World Cup, and we're expecting some big things from them today.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Tusku is who I'm thinking of, but there's a whole series of waves in Finland that come in every spring, and you can see that the Finns are no stranger to surfing these bigger, powerful waves. There's even a guy on Instagram that's a triple X, if the old school kayak lover, that throws down on them, and it's really fun to watch. But let's see what Tusku has for us here today.
He's dropping in, starting it off with a beautiful right blunt.
Yeah, getting good air bonus on that.
Definitely, he's looking to climb his way back up to the top, going backwards for a nice backstab, possibly a back pan, depending on how, if he went slightly oververt on that bow. Still looking to set something up. He's using the strategy of setting up slightly sideways, pulling his way up to the top of the feature, looking for the back pan the other way, unfortunately catching a bit too much of his stern, which pulled him out of the feature.
Yeah. So still 2 points with some bonuses, or two tricks, on the board. Not a bad way to start things off. You can see the control and the confidence he has on the features. He goes right for that first move. And then it really comes down to how many other moves do these competitors have that they can throw reliably with confidence from anywhere on the feature.
Yeah, and he says a great day on the river is cold water and big waves. Well, we got one of those things here, and that is the big waves. The water here is about bathtub temperature.
It is indeed. Super pleasant, actually. I got to do the squirt boating competition yesterday, and I was like, this is the best place to be right now. I don't know why more people aren't joining us here under the Chattahoochee, but right now, making waves of his own. Bartosz Czerniak out of Poland, coach for Love It, Live It, sporting that boat for Ukraine there from Jackson Kayak, Rockstar 5. So 2 big air screws to start things off, followed by an air blunt. Going for an air blunt the other way. Bartosz spending a lot of time on the White Nile in Uganda, actually leading and coaching trips out there. So he is no stranger to waves. Big back blunt, spinning into that as he goes right back for this surfer's right shoulder. Big blunt, maybe a Pan Am the other direction. He's just such a fun paddler to watch. Was out there competing at the Utz Trophy in Austria just 2 weeks ago, so going from the steep creeks of Austria to the big waves here at the World Cups, just a very well-rounded paddler and a strong first ride for Bartosz. So score coming in, I believe, at 570 points. Oh, look at that air screw replay, just so beautiful.
I think he might have landed that clean.
I was just thinking the same thing, actually.
Kept his blade nice and out of the water. That was beautiful.
That would be a big bonus on that trick. Absolutely. Looking for that over vertical blunt, the Pan Am there.
And we're seeing some of those bonuses come in as you see the score bump up and up as the judges go back, look, make sure they got exactly what they needed. Finalizing at a 586.67.
Yeah, that's right. We do have 3 judges, so when you see those points, that means that 2 judges either gave that trick or 1 judge gave that trick. But next up, we have the man, the myth, the legend, Eric Jackson, EJ himself, out of Rock Island, Tennessee, sporting his new Apex Kayaks Rebound, starting things off with a beautiful blunt. EJ out there in his 50s, one of our oldest but yet most experienced competitors, a multiple-time world champion. Oh my goodness, spinning it around and catching an edge, but staying in control as he goes to set things up for the back blunt. EJ looking to show off his new kayak that he's making for Apex Kayaks. You can see the Viking Arrow logo on the side there.
I believe there are 2 of those boats at this event.
There are, and I believe one of them took a silver medal.
Yes.
There we go. EJ going for a nice big air blunt, maybe a Pan Am. Just showing that experience really matters when it comes to competing. Huge helix. And going for maybe a flip turn the other direction on the buzzer. Strong ride for Eric Jackson.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to describe the differences between a helix and a flip turn, because often we'll see a helix start and then we call it a flip turn.
That's right. So a helix, you need a full 270 degrees of rotation. With air in the trick. So if you don't have air, it's called a felix, and I don't believe that's on the score sheet here in the ICF for a wave competition. I'm not positive. A helix, however, is only a 90-degree rotation, so your boat, but it also requires air. So your boat has to leave the water from that starting position, rotate 90 degrees horizontally, as well as, I believe, 90 to 120 degrees vertically. So the boat has to come to vertical or slightly oververt before pulling back down flat to the wave. But the boat must fully leave the water. So sometimes you'll see them going for the rotation of the helix, but maybe their stern catches and drags. And if they can bring that trick back down in control, they might be able to get a flip turn.
And we actually just saw the replay of that helix, and maybe we'll see the flip turn coming up next year. Yeah, and there we just saw that flip turn attempt. Unfortunately, flushed off the back on that trick. But next up, we have Dylan Grar of the United States dropping in for his first ride of prelims.
Dylan out of Oklahoma City, USA, competed at the U.S. team trials last year. His home course is actually a white water course. But talented young paddler out here just having so much fun as he goes to set things off with a blunt, maybe a roundhouse for that first trick. Dylan was out here practice riding away earlier this week. And then, trying for an air screw, maybe a donkey flip as he just unfortunately flushes off that feature. But I saw him out here running every channel on the Chattahoochee River, just really making the most of his time here.
Yeah, this is a absolutely gorgeous river here. There used to be 2 old dams that through the efforts of Uptown and a few other groups managed to get rid, and now that's introduced these beautiful whitewater to this city.
Yeah, that's right. If you look back online, you can actually find some old photos of when the dam was in place only, I believe, 20 or 30 years ago. So really incredible to see the revitalization efforts the community has made by creating a runnable stretch of white water. So yeah, you can see the replay of Dylan here. I hope his parents and sister Audrey are out there watching. But next up is Harry Price out of Great Britain.
Yeah, so we move right back to the top with Harry Price as he drops into the feature for his second ride.
Harry and partner Audley, who's also competing in every class, I believe. 2 of Great Britain's really young, talented athletes, starting things off with a air screw or maybe a donkey flip, getting the air on that second one, going for a big Pan Am right into a back blunt. Harry going pass to pass here, trying to not waste any time as he goes through that sequence. A huge helix. I love the angle the cameras are getting there as you can see the air under the boat.
Yeah, he does unfortunately flush, but not before putting in a solid ride. It was at 600. It's bounced down to 500. We'll see where that settles at in just a moment here. But in the meantime, let's have a look at this replay as he throws for a awesome air screw to the left.
Yeah.
Sets up immediately for the air screw the other direction.
You can see him just winding up his body as he gets ahead of the boat and lands that just with that rudder stroke in control to straighten out the boat and make sure that trick scores. Harry and partner Audie have a YouTube channel. I believe it's called Life Without Limits or Kayak Without Limits. So make sure you check that out. They do a series of videos and vlogs on there. And their goal is really to inspire the youth and more people to get out and enjoy the outdoors, whether that's through kayaking or not. You know, talking to Harry, he said, if you don't see it, how can you ever expect people to know what's out there and how to start themselves?
Yeah, it's a very admirable achievement for both of them. All right.
523.33 was Harry's ride score there. So sitting at a 1286 combined, which will put him near that top 5, I believe, in that 4th or 3rd place position. So decent. But next up, Tuisku. I do apologize to everyone in Finland for butchering this name.
As he drops in, looking to best his first ride score, manages to recover from an edge, unfortunately flipping on that right shoulder and flushing off. He's going to wave that one away and hope for 2 more good rides.
Yeah, we saw in his first ride a really strong command of the wave with a strong air blunt to start things off, a solid back blunt. And so I do believe he's got a lot more to offer, and we'll be looking for a chance to show that.
Definitely. As we mentioned, the Finnish have a wonderful wave scene in the spring over there.
Yes, if you look at our screen right now, we've actually got our top 5 finishers of today. So that is not our heat, just to be clear.
Yeah, and this can be completely shaken up. We have many paddlers left to go. I believe this day doesn't end until around 6 o'clock, so we still got plenty of time.
Savage. It's a long day, but that's because we have over 98 competitors here competing, and how fantastic is that? I believe our next paddler will be Bartosz Chałderna out of Poland. So as he goes dropping in, Bartosz setting things up with an air screw. Going for the air screw the other direction, maybe getting the donkey flips on those if they weren't fully aerial or straight. We'll see what the judges have to say. Trying things off with a blunt or a Pan Am there. And surfing back around, choosing to paddle a plastic Rockstar 5 here. Going for the blunt the other direction. So those Pan Ams really have to be inverted. Beautiful back blunt, maybe a back Pan Am. He's sitting things up nice and vertical, but I haven't seen the boat. There's the Pan Am go quite over that verticality line. Going for a helix. Surfing around right into a back Pan Am. You can see the difference as the boat actually kind of horizontals out rather than staying vertical. He was happy with that.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, he's choosing to come out here with a plastic boat. We see a varying difference in choices throughout this event between carbon and plastic. There are benefits and disadvantages to both on different features. The thing is you can't switch boat midway through one competition. Once you start paddling in a competition in a plastic boat, you are stuck paddling that plastic boat for the whole competition.
Yeah, if your boat breaks, you are allowed to replace your boat with the same boat. So that's an advantage of plastic, right? You could use another Rockstar 5, but if it's a carbon boat that's been specifically cut to you, it's a lot harder for athletes to change that out. And you will occasionally, at shallow features, see athletes frantically trying to patch up or fix their boats in between competitions.
Yeah, there's plenty of techniques that have been developed to really quickly patch carbon boats over the years. But then the advantage of a carbon boat on a feature like this is it is a lot bouncier, so it's a lot harder to control if you're not as experienced, but you can throw absolutely massive with the air. And but we saw Bartosz throw huge in a plastic boat with currently bouncing around the 680 mark for a single run.
Yeah, I'm watching our live scoring here happening over there as Bartosz's score is unfortunately dropping, which is not the direction you want to see that live score moving.
No, absolutely not.
But crowds are kind of thinning out as competitors look to seek some shade. So for all of you tuning in, we are grateful. Bartosz's score coming in at a 630, I believe, there. So yeah, show some love to Bartosz, to Poland.
And up next here, we have the one and only Eric Jackson.
That's right, man, the myth, the legend, EJ, paddling that apex rebound. Starting things off with a roundhouse. I don't think that's what he was going for, and that's the trick that he wanted. Maybe that air blunt or a Pan Am. Spinning it around, lining up the back blunt. EJ just such a master. Oh, going for a clean spin. We have not seen too many of that, and really selling it to the judges.
I absolutely respect the style that went into that spin.
100%. And then using that momentum to carry on into that back blunt. Big Pan Am to the right, maybe a blunt. EJ just having fun out there. He's here to really just show the world, you know, never count any competitor out. I think this man just loves to kayak.
Definitely. And there's the beautiful helix, bringing it all the way around, going for the other direction on the buzzer. That was incredible. We'll have to see if that last one counts, but he's going to be very happy with that ride.
Great ride from Eric Jackson. You know, massive shout out to wife Christine, helps facilitate his paddling and keeps the family going. Look at that Pan Am, absolutely spectacular. EJ out here competing alongside his son-in-law as well as his son and his daughter Emily. So the Jacksons, just what a whitewater legacy they have helped to create here in the U.S. and I think globally all over the world. So EJ spinning it around, lining things up. Look at that back blunt, so much power in that trick. And he's here to help show off that rebound. That technique,
that clean spin.
God, so fun. So yeah, the second half of that spin completed without the paddle.
And you don't see a lot of those types of stylish classic tricks out here at these events that often. They're not crazy high scoring, but they look so good.
They do, but you know, it's because they require a lot of edge control. And so I think the paddle keeps you in the water as a big point of stability. And so it takes a lot of confidence and skill and subtlety in your edges to confidently take your paddle out of the water on those tricks. Look at that helix. Absolutely textbook. So EJ, I can see the score bouncing over here. Yeah, goes right for the helix. He just wants to show off the new graphics on his boat on top and bottom.
Yeah, we're still waiting on the final score for Eric Jackson's run.
You know, one of the challenges for athletes in this, I think, particular feature is that you have to put in upstream of the wave and then drop on. So the athletes don't get to just sit in the water and chill between rides. You've actually got to paddle around the island, get out of your boat, take off your skirt, undo your outfitting, move back around, get back in your boat, redo your outfitting, and still check out what your score was, 638 points, .33. So strong first ride score, or second ride score, excuse me.
Second ride, yeah.
For EJ.
And we're almost at the bottom of the heat for their second rides. And here we'll have Dylan Grawer of the U.S. wrapping up the second rides for heat number 5 as he drops into the feature.
He's able to meet Dylan and his family in Oklahoma City this year, and just what a nice kid. Oh, that is an unfortunate flush for Dylan. Talented young paddler, and he was showing off on this wave all day yesterday in the training rides. So he still has 2 more rides.
Yeah, so we'll definitely see some more of him in a bit.
Yeah. You know, it's challenging in a country like the U.S. where you've had so many long-time legends and strong paddlers that it can be really hard to break into the competitive freestyle scene. Or it can be hard to make one of those top 5 spots for a team. And that, I think, is, again, the beauty of these World Cups, where that anybody can come out, participate, gain that competition experience, and paddle alongside, you know, people that they've looked up to, I think, their whole paddling careers.
Exactly, and what's been really cool is we've actually seen some paddlers that are not on national teams from European countries coming down, taking the time and spending the money to come down just for the experience. They may not have made team for World Championships, but they're here because they want that world's experience for the future.
Yeah, and because surfing waves is fun.
Oh, 100%.
So I hope that everyone that's come out here is excited to come back, and I think that's the vibe I've heard for sure.
Yeah, I think any excuse to get out on a wave is a good excuse.
Yeah, especially in the sunshine. But next up, Harry Price dropping in ride number 3. Oh, is that right? Ride number 3? Ride number 2? I'm
yep,
losing
this is
track
the beginning
here.
of ride number of their 3rd rides. And he started off with a couple tricks, going for the donkey flip on that run, going for the air screw the other direction. Immediately into the left air screw that time, going for the huge left Pan Am, spinning around, going for the back blunt to the right.
Let's see if they score that. Back blunt is required to be clear of the foam pile, and that is hard to do sometimes on this feature.
Yeah, the foam pile here likes to surge forward and engulf the paddler. So sometimes you'll see them go for it, push out of the water, but then the foam pile catches up with them, doesn't allow them to score the trick necessarily, and there's a beautiful helix. Coming back down to look for another pass. Time is up for Harry Price's 3rd ride. And as we wait, the score is bumping up just over the 800 mark. Here we see in the replay Harry Price coming in, doing a initial air screw that turned into a donkey flip. Didn't get the air for the 180 degrees of the rotation. But that's okay, because he went for the air screw the other direction just here and showed us exactly how you're supposed to do it. And here we got a camera with a little less glare as the sun starts to shine brightly above us. There he goes back for the air screw the other way. Nope, these are the original 2 air screws shown to us again. They liked them so much they wanted everyone to see it multiple times. There is that Pan Am. I do believe he came flying out of the foam pile there. There should be no issue with that. But here is that back blunt, the one we were mentioning in the foam pile. It is very difficult to get yourself out, especially backwards. The risk of plugging an end and ending up getting flushed flat out of the wave is very high.
So Harry's 3rd ride score, his highest yet, 808.33. So that is going to boost him into the 2nd place position on our leaderboard. So that is where you want to be sitting, in one of those top 5 spots. But next up, out of Finland, Tuisku and Nisma. Dropping in, looking to set things up, going for a nice right blunt, spinning it around, having an unfortunate flush on his 1st ride. Oh no, is he going to be able to retain the feature? There he is, missing that back blunt, but staying in the feature. Whew, you can hear him take the sigh of relief on that one. Going for a back roundhouse or maybe spinning it around there. We'll see what the judges have to say. Again, they're looking for tricks done with intention that meet the definitions on the ICF score sheet. So for those of you curious, you can take a look at the ICF website, trying to get the back blunt there. Nice verticality on that trick. Going maybe for a back Pan Am. Really showing his competency on this wave as he goes for a blunt and maybe almost a McNasty. Oh my goodness. So I hope the scores reflect how that ride felt for Tusku. So we're looking to see points, I think, hoping for points over the 200-point mark, but we will see what happens. He had a 190 on his first ride and an unfortunate flush on his second. So at this point, 128.33. He'll be happy to get some points on the board.
Yeah, 100%. And here we're seeing him as he sets up backwards, looking for that back blunt, pulling it around nicely.
Yeah, so vertical.
We're going right into Bartosz here for his third ride. Dropping into the feature.
That's right, Bartosz out of Poland, but really an international paddler up. You could see EJ getting in there for his next ride, starting things off with the air screw, going for the air screw the other direction. Bartosz spending a lot of time training not only in Uganda, but on a wave in Galicia, going for a clean blunt, maybe a roundhouse there, trying for the clean back blunt the other direction. So moving front to back, right to left, going for the clean roundhouse the other direction, really not wasting a pass or trying to use each trick to set up the next. Bartosz coaching out of Love It, Live It, going for a nice Pan Am. Working with a lot of the athletes out here. That was a beautiful helix. Did you see the air under his boat there?
Yeah, that was by far the biggest helix we've seen of the day at the moment. Going for the pistol flip.
Or a back Pan Am, not sure, but that is a fantastic ride for Bartosz. He's just one of the nicest people out there on the water every day.
100%.
And
Every
so
time
much
I talk to
stoke.
him, he puts a huge smile on my face.
Yeah, so much stoke. Look at that clean blunt as he tries to sell that to the judges. Bartosz, I think, was asked the other day, how long have you been growing your dreadlocks for? And I think the answer was since he was 16, so
Oh, wow, yeah.
maybe almost 20 years. I don't want to give away Bartosz's age. You'll have to ask him yourself. Look at that beautiful Pan Am. I saw him throwing down some Pan Ams on ambush earlier this week, and I said, Bartosz, teach me your ways. Look at, where's that replay on that helix?
Yeah, there's that huge air on the helix.
Just aerial, almost the entire trick edge to edge. You can see him really catch it on that blade and pull it upright, but
Yeah,
absolutely
he
spectacular
put it so
trick.
high that even his hair didn't touch the water.
That's saying something. His hair is taller than some of the juniors.
There's that. Definitely looked like a pistol flip attempt. We'll see whether that will score as a back Pan Am or pistol flip.
They're hard to tell the difference of sometimes.
They can be, yes.
Yeah, but just a fun trick to do. What a great ride to watch. So I think Bartosz is going to be happy with this one, as that score is still flashing as we wait for our judges to finalize those points.
Yeah, but it's looking like it's going to settle pretty high. It's currently sitting at the 883 mark.
Yeah, I can see Bartosz paddling back up the eddy. He still has no idea, but that is the moment of stoke, the claim that everyone wants to feel and see. Excuse me as I move my microphone around here. And 883.33, and that will move him into the third place spot. So still one more ride to go, and so Bartosz is going to be happy with that. But next up is the one, the only, out of Rock Island, Tennessee, Eric Jackson. Absolutely one of the best, most well-rounded paddlers in the entire world. From an Olympic slalom paddler to a multiple-time world champion in freestyle, starting things off with a helix, maybe getting a flip turn on the other ride, going for the blunt, possible Pan Am to the left. Setting things up, going for a back blunt, maybe a back Pan Am, moving trick to trick. So fast and efficient on this feature. EJ just taking time to catch his breath, giving me time to catch my breath as he goes for a huge air screw. Oh my goodness, that was insane. We'll see if the judges reward that trick or if he unfortunately flushed off the wave too soon to stick it. So replay of that helix right there. Getting the air on the trick. Going for the helix other direction, not quite bringing it around. Likely not scoring points on that, but still looking cool. Going for the nice big vertical blunt. Spinning it right around, showing off that apex rebound, a kayak that EJ himself designed, and that has only recently come into production for the last World Championship. So EJ's ride score coming in at 336.7, or 0.67, excuse me. So giving him a combined total score right now of 1021.66, so that third ride was not enough to change his score or his position. But now, young Dylan Grauer out of Oklahoma City, USA. Dylan working as a raft guide and kayak instructor out there for the, I believe it's the, well, I'm going to butcher this, I'm not even going to say it, the Rapid Center. Dylan starting things off with a roundhouse, maybe a blunt, getting air on that trick, going back for it to get the verticality. There we go. That's a stronger start for Dylan. Surfing it back around. What's he got for us next? Sure, Mom, Dad, and Dylan's siblings are out watching at home as he goes to try and for that trick one more time. He's not quite getting the verticality on his blunt that he wants, and so I wouldn't be surprised to see him try it once more. Going for a shove it. All right, bold move, but points are points.
To be fair, you can like lose a medal to a shove it.
It's true. I mean, I've missed out on places by less than 5 points, so every point counts, as Dylan knows well.
All right, with an unfortunate flush there, but that was at the 0 point mark, I believe. Locking in at 30 points for his. Is this the beginning of our 4th run?
Dylan's the last to go in this heat, so I believe that was his 3rd ride.
Yes, so now we're going to be going back up to the top of the heat with Harry Price. This is going to be their final runs of prelims. This is going to be the moment for them to all go as big as they can to guarantee themselves a place in quarterfinals.
That's right. Harry currently sitting in 2nd position. I know that he wants to take over the top of that leaderboard, starting off with an air screw, going for the air screw the other direction, right into a blunt, setting it up for the back blunt, maybe a back Pan Am. Going for the helix to the left. This is just going pass to pass to pass. I love the moments when you can see the athletes find that flow. Helix the other direction.
An unfortunate flush there early on in his ride. He already has some very, very impressive initial scores on the board, so I'm not sure. I don't believe that he's overly worried about this one, but it's definitely not what he wanted on his 4th ride.
No, absolutely not. But still, you know, to get over 500 points with half of your time on the wave. 45 seconds, gosh, it goes so fast.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it looks fast from third-party perspective, but when you're on that feature, it is way faster. Score locking in at 580. He will be keeping his 1st and 3rd ride combined of 1571.
So yeah, Harry's still putting himself high up on that leaderboard in that 2nd place position, so he should be comfortably through to the quarterfinals, but we will see.
I believe we saw him. I'm not sure what just happened there with the camera.
It's a busy day.
There's definitely some nice rocks there.
Yeah, you can see actually how surgy the water is here as well. It is actually, I think the hardest part of the day is sitting in the eddy right there before your ride and not getting caught in the swirls. So I can see Bartosz on the camera here. I'm not sure if we've got an athlete on the water. I'm guessing that we do.
I believe I saw him drop in before the camera switched. I don't know how long he stayed on that feature. But we're just looking now from a third-party perspective. It looks like he did flush, and they are letting the timer go. So he must have flushed through on this pass.
That is unfortunate, but still. Tuisku hopefully happy with his 2 rides that he had earlier today.
All right, Bartosz getting the thumbs up from the judges, ready for his 4th and final ride. He's currently sitting in the 3rd position for the moment. He's going to be wanting to bump that up to make himself in a safer spot for quarters. Guess he had his nose plug fall off a bit there, so I'm going to let go and adjust it.
Yeah, you've got to have the nose plugs on. Going for a nice Pan Am to start things off. Going for, looks like an air screw the other direction. Maybe a donkey flip. Hard to tell if he got the air on that.
Yeah, he did a bit of a mystery move coming out of it, but managed to stay in the feature.
Yeah, so you can, hard for us to tell exactly. And we know what we're seeing is at a very different angle from the judges. Going for that blunt, maybe a Pan Am. Going for a back Pan Am. Bartosz having, I think, just a huge ride last time. Going for the clean blunt to the left. Back roundhouse to the right, and I think he's going to be looking to repeat that last ride score. But unfortunately not going to be quite making it there, as that is the buzzer on time as he goes for a helix. Look at that stoke.
Yeah, maybe scoring potentially a flip turn depending on how much air he got on that last trick.
That's right.
Not his strongest of his 4 rides. He's most likely going to stick with his combined of 15-13 as the scores come in.
But still, what an accomplishment to be sitting right now in that 3rd place position. And I just have to say, one thing that's been fun for me has been just to see Bartosz continue to improve in his paddling over the last few years. I think he's been around for a long time as a name that a lot of people know, through his coaching, just through his presence, and yet he's really been working his way into the top tier of athletes at, both wave competitions and hole competitions and racing. So very cool to see. But next up, man who needs no introduction, EJ, Eric Jackson.
Starting off strong with a helix. Looking for another pass, not getting the bounce that he was looking for. Trying to sit up on that surfer's right corner.
Yeah.
Going for a beautiful Pan Am.
Yeah,
very much in the air. That could have almost been huge.
I was going to say that has to have gotten a huge bonus. That trick was absolutely money and
yeah,
beautiful.
Yeah, definitely. Looking to get potentially some form of back trick there, not getting the pass. Maybe setting up for a McNasty?
It did look that way, didn't it?
Yeah, looking to get a bit of a flip turn both directions. He's still trying for that other direction helix, I believe. Going for the donkey flip.
And you could just see him as he caught that green tongue right up to the top of the wave, but still staying on the wave for almost 40 full seconds and throwing tricks nearly the entire time. I wouldn't be surprised if he got a huge bonus on that first helix either.
Yeah, it was absolutely beautiful. Here we're seeing the replay. Hopefully they'll show us that Pan Am, because that might have been one of the biggest Pan Ams we've seen of today.
Oh, that is like the trick you dream of. That's like the magazine cover shot right there, like 4 feet of air between you and the wave. Just, that's the trick that I think my tricks feel like until I see the video, and then I'm like, it wasn't. But yeah, in my head, that's what I look like. There it is.
Yeah, absolutely beautiful.
Yeah. EJ out there, I think one of the funnest things about sharing an Eddie with EJ is he is just out there to have a good time and make sure everyone else has a good time too. But next up, Dylan Grauer out of the US of A.
Yeah, here he comes. An unfortunate flush, but he claims it. Paddle up in the air as he drifts downstream. That is going to wrap it up for our Heat 5 of men's preliminaries today at the World Cup final. Our next heat will include Canadian Luke Pomeroy, Madharu Watari of Japan, Thomas Schlepiski of Poland, Greg Lebeau of United States, and Tom Dolly of France. That will kick off in about 10 minutes here.
That's right, so be sure to check back in or follow along on the ICF website for live scores. Feel free to support your favorite athletes in the comments section, and we will be signing off here and seeing you back soon. All right, we are just minutes away from our next heat here at the ICF Freestyle World Cup preliminary round of the men's kayak surface. So our next heat is going to be heat number 6. That's going to have Luke Pomeroy of Canada, Motoharu Watari of Japan, Thomas Kaplinski of Poland, Greg LeBeau of the United States, and Tom Dole of France. I'm Anna Bruno and joined here by Zach Zwangenberg. Please bear with us as we wait for this next round to start in just another minute or two. Currently sitting on the front of your screen is the current top 10. So our top 10 right now is Nick Troutman, Harry Price, Bartosz Chowderna, Caleb Grady, Alan Ward, Stephen Wright, Eric Jackson, Royusku Tamaji, Corey Sheehan, and Rob Crow of Great Britain. There are 20 available spots to go through into the quarterfinals from this preliminary round, and we are working to pull up that top 20 for you right now. In the meantime, things are heating up here in the Chattahoochee River, right between Columbus, Georgia, and Phoenixville, Alabama. The glare is on the wave. I appreciate all of the judges and spectators out there watching, as well as all of our sponsors helping us put on this fantastic event here today. There has been nothing but Southern hospitality from the town of Columbus, Uptown Columbus, Whitewater Express, and so many others out there helping to make this event reality. But Zach, what have you got for us?
All right, well, here we've got the list of the current top 20 as we move into our 3 final heats for today. So currently, starting from top to bottom, we have Nick Troutman of Canada currently holding first, Harry Price of Great Britain, Bartosz Chowderna of Poland, Caleb Grady of Canada, Alan Ward of Great Britain, Stephen Wright of the United States, Eric Jackson of the United States, Ryusuke Tamaji of Japan, Corey Sheehan of the United States, Robert Crow in 10th of Great Britain, Gavin Barker in 11th, John Best of Great Britain, Kenji Honda of Japan, Maika Sojanen of Finland, Daniel Dano Jones of the United States, Nathan Hefford of Great Britain, Clay Wright of the United States, Tuuski Anisma of Finland, Fabian Lenz in 19th of Germany, and then rounding up the top 20 at the moment, Daniel Gilbert of the United States. But as we mentioned, we still have 3 more heats to go today. In this next heat, we will have, starting off of Canada, Luke Pomeroy, Motoharu Watari of Japan, Thomas Kaplinski of Poland, Greg LeBeau of the United States, and Tom Dolly of France. And here we see Luke Pomeroy pulling out with a thumbs up, about to drop in for his first ride.
That is correct. So Luke, out of the Ottawa Valley, Canada, spending a lot of time here in Columbus, Georgia, actually features in the film The Wintering Ground, so no stranger to this wave. Trying to start things off, maybe with a spin, maybe with a little roundhousey flashback to get things going before going right into that air screw double whammy combo that he is so good at. Luke is no stranger to surfing waves, and spends a lot of time on the big waves of northern Canada, up in northern Ontario and Quebec. So a little blunt there just to get some points on the board as he surfs around. 10 seconds left. Let's see what he's got for us as he comes in. Luke just missing a spot on the Canadian national team this year, but still coming down to compete and participate in this World Cup. So trying for a helix right on the buzzer. We'll see if they give him any points on that one.
Yeah, Luke Pomeroy is no stranger to waves. He spends his springs up doing stakeout in northern Canada, which I've heard also the Finnish have their own version of stakeout up there, which is very interesting. I'd never actually heard of it until this year.
Yeah, there's been a lot of photos. You know, I get a couple news reports from the Kayak Session magazine from them, and I always love seeing what those guys are up to and seeing the waves up there. They've just got some really talented paddlers coming out of Finland right now, but also out of Canada, like young Luke Pomeroy. But next up, out of Japan, Motoharu Watari. Speaking of, I think, a strong showing for a country here at this World Cup, there have just been some really strong Japanese paddlers on the water. Let's see what Watari has to show.
Yeah, Japan has been a growing force in the whitewater freestyle scene over the last many years, slowly claiming more medal after medal and climbing their way to the top, showing the world that they also have whitewater, they also have the talent.
They do, and I'm curious to see what are the waves like in Japan. I think watching the skill and caliber of these paddlers really has me wanting to go out there and visit. Hitomi, one of the strongest female paddlers on the scene, both in squirt boat and freestyle, as well as just a strong men's team, and then Nanase in the junior men as well. So we see a little roundhouse there from Watari as he gets some points on the board, maybe getting that air bonus. A lot of paddlers struggling to get the verticality they want on their tricks on this feature.
Yeah, definitely. It is a surprisingly tough feature. There is very little space between the foam pile and the green water, so you have a fraction of a second to get any initiation to throw edge. Otherwise, you end up too far down. Any angle you try to throw flattens up against that green water, or you end up too far back in the foam, and you may get the angle, but it's not going to count.
And of course, I think we're going to see people that have either a lot of wave experience or a lot of time here in Columbus with an advantage, because there's been very little practice time at this particular level. So Tomasz Kaplinski out of Poland, starting things off with a massive air screw. Sobicki almost went off the wave. So Tomas really throwing down some huge moves in practice rides yesterday, and I'm excited to see the ride that he puts together for us. So going air screw to air screw, following it up with a Pan Am, maybe with a blunt. Really power for paddler, and I think one of unquestionably the best paddlers freestyle-wise in the world.
Yeah, especially.
Oh! Catching an unfortunate cartwheel end to an edge to a flush. So with still 15 seconds left to go on his ride. So even some of the best have been caught out by Good Wave here.
Yeah, but luckily this is still on his first ride. And with someone with this much World Cup experience, with a first place in the 2018 Sort World Cups and first in the 2016 San Juan World Cups, he knows what he's doing here, and he's coming out to fight.
That's right, but different style of feature here in Columbus than we've had. The last Wave World Championship was on Garburator on the Ottawa in 2015. So it has been a while since we've had an ICF sanctioned event on a feature like Good Wave here.
Yeah, 100%. It's a rare event, but when it is, we have lots of talent that shows up that we don't often see at the World Championships on a normal basis.
Yeah, Tomas also spending time in Galicia, Spain, surfing waves out there. So his partner Zosha also out here. Tomas and Zosha running coaching and clinics as well. But right now, Greg LeBeau of the US of A. So Greg looking to drop in. Not a paddler I'm super familiar with, so I'm curious to see what he has for us here.
Yeah, I believe this is his first Worlds event. He's usually out taking pictures, filming, all types of different stuff. He's been hanging around the wintering grounds, showing us some beautiful images. Super nice guy, great guy to talk to. He's there, you see him go with a spin, getting himself some points on the board, going for the spin the other direction.
That's right, so every point counts, and we're not seeing maybe quite as many of these lower level tricks, but I think just for anyone to get out there and compete on this feature in front of this world crowd and the scene, in front of the judges, is just amazing. And when people are out there doing their best tricks, that's what it's all about. Maybe getting a shove it. Greg retaining the feature for his entire ride, and that in itself is an accomplishment.
And actually, not only is this his first Worlds, this is his first competition ever.
That's amazing. That's amazing. But I think it speaks to the need for having more kind of hometown throwdowns and having those grassroots festivals and organizations. And I think that's where people get their start in competing and in freestyle. And I know that Columbus tries to put some of those on, and I hope more communities around the world do too. Next up, Tom Dole out of France. Tom, actually a former Wintering Grounds local. Tom's family moved here to Columbus when he was a teenager, and he spent a couple of years living here. So I'm excited to see what he has to us. I know he was excited to come home, starting things off with an air screw, followed by maybe some over vertical cartwheels, but he manages to stay in the feature. Tom competing in the Utz Trophy in Austria just 2 weeks ago before being at the Paddle Sports Show in France. This kid has just been on the non-stop moving around, and I have nothing but respect for him as a human being.
100%, yeah, and the French always show off a huge performance at every event. Unfortunately, landing backwards, catching a bit of a stern. We've seen a couple of that happen already today with some of the top paddlers. Very unfortunate, but again, that is why we have 4 rides here.
That is exactly why we have 4 rides. So not a lot of training time, not a lot of practice time. Everyone's kind of in the same boat, and you can see even Tom Dole getting kind of tossed around there by that foam pit as he goes to set up. Tom flew out here and he didn't even have any paddles. He was asking around, does anyone have spare paddles that I can use? So putting together some rides with some borrowed gear. So a very low first ride score for what we know Tom is capable of.
Yeah, and there it is. It does stop. It does fix in at a 161, as we mentioned, fairly low for what we know we've seen from him before on this feature. But we are back to the top with the Canadian, the big wave master, Luke Pomeroy.
That's right. Again, one of the nicest humans you'll ever meet. Luke actually drove to the airport the other day to pick me up, you know, taking the 3 hours out of his day, starting these off with an air screw, which I'll tell you I appreciated. But Luke out here showing that big wave expertise as he looks to set up for his next trip. He's got a very distinct style, going to spin things around as he goes for the back blunt into the air screw the other direction. Going for a nice Pan Am. Such a snappy paddler. A lot of talent out of your home country of Canada. What is it about that, Zach?
Yeah, well, I think it happens to be that we have about 1 million waves every square kilometer.
Is that the actual statistic? 1 million per square kilometer. Maybe.
No, but it's pretty close when you think about it.
It's true. It's true. I think actually Canada has, what is it? Something like 90% of the world's freshwater is found in Canada.
Yeah, it's a huge percentage, and we have some of the biggest rivers that I think only get beat by some of the rivers out in Africa when it comes to whitewater.
Luke with that textbook air screw. Just a strong athlete, strong competitor. Out here also lending his voice to the commentating earlier this week, and just a kind of general kind human, help you out human. And I really just fun to see him out here representing Canada.
One of the level 6 athletes here representing a legendary Canadian company.
25 years this year, actually, for level 6.
25 years. Wow, that's an accomplishment, especially in the whitewater industry.
It is. You know, I was talking to level 6 founder Stig earlier this week, actually, and just kind of celebrating that. And I think it's, you know, one thing for Stig has always been not only celebrating the environment and the rivers and protecting Canada, but helping athletes represent or realize their dreams and helping them do the same. Look at that clean blunt from Luke.
Yeah, and his second ride coming in at 413 with a combined of 790.
So he's going to be looking to raise that higher, because that's going to put him kind of in that danger bubble zone. So that puts him in that 11th place position. So again, top 20 qualify, but he's going to be looking to work his way into the top 10. Yeah, for those of you looking to follow online, you can find the link to the live scores on the ICF website or on Corners, CONERSYS.online.
You can also go to Planet Canoe's YouTube channel. It'll be currently one of the featured live videos. But here we have Mataru Watari showing us how he can throw on this feature with a right blunt and a left blunt right off the bat. He's using that surfer's right shoulder to his maximum here, trying to get every pass he can.
That's right. You can just see the force and domination this wave has. You know, you have to be aggressive with it. There he goes, putting down that edge, getting that nice aerial blunt, beautiful and snappy. I have to say, I think the paddlers in these heats might be at a slight disadvantage. I'm struggling to see off the glare here, and I can only imagine that they are blinded on the wave. You see Watari going for that back blunt there. And I think it's got to be a little bit harder to see where you are on the feature at this time of day.
But the advantage is it might be easier to sell to some of the judges depending on how good they can see.
That's true. That's true. For every advantage, there is a disadvantage. But yeah, beautiful blunt there on the replay from Watari.
Yeah, his second ride coming in at 111, a combined of 213. He's going to want to top that in his next couple rides if he wants to get into that top 20.
Yeah, you know, it's hard to say. It's like not on us to say what is an athlete's goal in turning and coming to this competition, but I can tell you that Tomas is looking to not only make it into that top 20, but he wants to be not only in the final, but on the podium. And he starts things off with a big air screw. Oh my God, catching his bow edge, almost getting a loop, maybe getting a cartwheel, but retaining the feature, regaining his composure, and then going right for a Pan Am to the left. Tomas, experienced competitor, and that showed in that moment right there. Big air screw the other direction. Really powerful paddler.
100%. If you watched him earlier in ambush, he was one of the few people to start off by throwing basically tons of hole moves. That was a beautiful McNasty.
Blunt McNasty.
Blunt McNasty,
so the
yeah.
blunt linked into the McNasty, which we saw him do at ambush earlier this week, but to do it here on Good Wave 2, wow. High scoring move, link bonus, possible air bonus on either the McNasty or the blunt.
Yeah, and you just saw that score jump up, that high risk, high reward trick combination there, coming in, bumping his score up, unfortunately dropping just below the 500, but it isn't settled yet. The judges still have some deliberation to do.
That's right, I can see it flashing, and that is going to maybe put some pressure and stress on Tomas. He's currently sitting in 19th after just one ride, so I know that he will move up in the rankings, but the question is how far.
Yeah, and it's funny enough, we actually saw him, we were talking about him going in and throwing a lot of hole moves in ambush wave, including one of the biggest loops I'd ever seen, actually, and two absolutely phenomenal Space Godzillas, which are a loop with a rotation in the middle. And we actually saw him try for a loop in this wave, like just this last run.
Well, I don't know if it was intentional.
Maybe, but it was definitely interesting.
They call that the emergency loop. Yeah. All right, Greg LeBeau out of Columbus, Georgia, I believe. Phoenixville, Alabama. I think he's local, working for Whitewater Express out here spinning it around, getting spins both directions on his last ride, going for a spin this ride. Oh, catching the edge, unfortunately, and getting kind of a violent flush.
Yeah, but again, this is his first competition ever, so already coming out here with big smiles is a massive achievement. It is stressful. These types of environments can be very, very taxing on the mind whenever you are going into that moment, especially if you're really trying to push to improve yourself. It could be something to try to beat someone else, but trying to beat yourself is actually even more taxing.
It's true. You know, I've talked to so many people this week that told me, hey, I learned to paddle here in Columbus. I learned to paddle here at Good Wave Rapids. You know, first I paddled on Great Wave, and then I paddled on Lemur Wave, which is right behind Good Wave, and now I'm moving into Good Wave. And I think to see so many people from this community coming out, experiencing this sport, and being introduced to whitewater like Greg LeBeau, and then being able to participate here, I mean, that's what it's all about. So.
All right, and here we see.
Who do we? Oh, Tom Dole of
yeah,
France.
there we go.
Took me a second to see it against the glare. All the paddlers are just silhouetted. So Tom looking to better that first ride score, but I see him getting a solid blunt. Start things off.
Saw the wave green out very aggressively there. That could have been really nice for a nice pass.
Yeah, going for a back blunt to the right. Tom, a former junior world champion, also a C1 competitor, going for an air screw. Former Columbus local. Oh, that was lofty. Also living in Lyon, France, where the Hawaii Cerrone waves are, going for the helix of the direction. This is a talented wave boater, and I am excited to see him put some rides together. Unfortunately, that is time for Tom's first ride, so definitely going to be a better score than ride 1, and I'm hoping that that score keeps building as we get into rides 3 and 4.
Definitely, yes. He's always looking to top himself. This one, I believe, yes, as you mentioned, does top his first ride.
While we wait for the judges to finalize that score. Tom, again, you know, a former junior, only recently stepping into the senior men's class. And it's a tough transition for a lot of paddlers to make, especially with that COVID year.
Yeah, so what normally happens is you get that, you instantly transition, or you get a full, I believe you go from 14 years old to 17 in junior. But with COVID happening, a lot of juniors...
It's actually 15 to 18.
15 to 18, there we go. A lot of juniors lost a year, and actually some of them lost 2 years depending on their date of birth.
That's right, and so Luke Pomeroy starting things off strong, ride number 3 with a big flashback. He's going to be looking to put some points on the board here as he goes looking for an air screw, but not quite getting the pass he wants. You can see him just getting kind of caught out by the foam there. Maybe getting a Pan Am out of that trick, maybe getting something. We shall see.
Yeah, it looks like it might have counted as a donkey flip considering he kept the bow slightly up. There is an air screw, the one that he was looking for in the first place.
Yeah, that was fairly textbook. Yeah, maybe a donkey flip the other direction. Donkey flip, actually a trick pioneered by EJ at the Bus Eater World Championships in 2007.
Well, there you go.
Clean blunt, maybe a clean roundhouse, trying for the back blunt the other direction. And then a helix on the buzzer. Will that count? Oh, you could just see Luke's little pinkies go up there as he went for a fun little clean blunt. Just for fun, because that time is off. So that trick will not count, but now he's just out there getting a little practice ride in.
Yes. We saw him do, I believe, what they call a sidekick, which is considered a trophy move here. So a trophy move is any trick that is not on the score sheet, but it does have to be approved by the judges ahead of time. His second ride coming in at 4:48, which means he will take that and his third ride, putting him at a just under 900 points combined.
Yeah, we're seeing Luke's ride scores, most people's in this heat, slowly rising each ride. So moving them up the ranks and moving Luke into the top 10.
Yes, going from 11th to 10th position with that run. And we are back to the Japanese Motoharu Watari for his third ride.
Watari carving out. This is, I think, the crux moment right here is lining up for your first trick as you come out of the eddy, sun glaring in your face, foam pile surging below. Where are you going to land? What are you going to do first? Starting things off, trying to bring that spin around to a full 360 degrees. So the judges are strict on these little tricks, and you'll see nothing on the board yet, maybe a roundhouse as he starts things off there. You know, going for a nice vertical blunt to the right. I think the roundhouse should be worth more points.
Yeah, it's a surprisingly technically difficult trick.
Yeah, ooh, beautiful back blunt from Watari there. And going for the blunt to the right, spinning it around. He wants to sell those tricks to the judges. Plus, sometimes you just take the pass and it feels good, and you're like, well, we're going. Going for a little spin there. Oh, maybe trying for a donkey flip or an air screw, staying on the wave. Oh, look at that launching. That was a great ride for Watari.
Yes, he looked for that donkey flip the other direction. Ended up with a little bit of a faceplant, but he still managed to get the first one in on the score sheet.
That's right. So athletes not only take the time to learn these tricks, but they actually have to learn the definitions and the way the moves work as well. And let me tell you, sometimes that feels like reading Greek or like a math textbook.
Yeah, and those definitions, they change year to year as the sport evolves. And his second score coming in at just over 200, putting him at a total of 318 combined. That moves him just under the 20th position.
Yeah. So Tomasz Kaplinski of Poland dropping in for his third ride here. Tomasz getting an early flush on ride 1, but there he goes, laying on a strong ride 2. So starting things off with a big vertical blunt, maybe a Pan Am, going for the air screw. What is going to come next?
Yeah, he's taking his time a little bit here, trying to set up, but doesn't want to take too many risks, does not want to risk a flush in his third ride.
Nice back blunt. Starting off, staying in control, and constantly you see him working his way over to that surfer's right shoulder, trying for that big pass, looking for an air screw, maybe seeing, we'll see what the judges say on that one. You know, I think we get so used to seeing these lofty textbook air screws that it's hard to know what happens when the bow drops, but that was a beautiful blunt McNasty on the buzzer.
Yeah,
that'll help the future on that one.
That'll help get some good points right at the last minute. He definitely needs them because currently it's sitting at 260. We will see if the judges give that to him. Otherwise, he will still have a fourth ride.
4 rides, 2 count, top 20. Move on to the next round. We are here in heat number 6 of the men's preliminary round in the ICF Freestyle World Cup. I say surface because yesterday we had the squirt boat competition, and let me tell you, that was a sinking competition, and there was nothing about surface happening. Taft Sibley of the USA put down 60 seconds of combined downtime, which is remarkable. So unfortunately that event wasn't able to be live streamed, but it's probably for the best because you couldn't see the athletes anyway.
However, it was Facebook Lived using a phone to the ICF Facebook page. That replay is available for people who are curious, who want to go back and have a look. Thomas's score coming in at 303. Definitely going to want to improve that on his fourth ride.
So Tomas currently sitting within the top 20, but gonna want to move himself into a place of greater safety. Next up, Greg LeBeau out of the US of A, here on ride number 3 of his first ever kayak competition.
Managing to catch the feature. I know he's going to be really excited about that. He was telling me earlier that he was finding it very difficult, especially at this level, but there it is, going into a spin, almost staying in the feature, unfortunately getting bumped off the back.
That's right, but what a great attitude.
Definitely, and I believe he mentions in his bio here that his cousin, which I believe competed in the competition earlier today, got him into the sport and just convinced him to come out here and compete.
That's amazing. Yeah. I hope that cousin's also out here cheering him on.
Oh, definitely is.
But yeah, unfortunately, getting those zeros on the board, but you know, it doesn't really represent the experience. So. Yeah, I wonder if there's some friendly cousin competition over who's going to have scored the most points in that. It's good to have people out there with you, you know. You got to push each other. But next up, Tom Dole out of France. Dropping in, going for a nice air screw. Maybe a Pan Am, landing backwards on that, but saving it with a beautiful back Pan Am.
It's a much better start to his third ride. Much more how I'm sure he envisioned it. Going for the donkey flip, potentially an air screw. We'll see how much air they score on that for him.
That's right, Tom. Oh, is he going to emergency loop it? Oh my goodness, that is an unfortunate bow catch on that third ride for Tom.
Yeah, and that is the interesting thing about this feature. There are multiple ways to get back up to the top for a pass. You have two completely different shoulders. You have the surfer's right shoulder, which is very aggressive, likes to crash on you, likes to flip you, also likes to plug the nose, but is a little more retentive and pushes you back into the foam pile. You have that surfer's left shoulder, which is much more difficult to get to the top of the foam pile, but is also extremely flushy. So you can get that second approach. However, the location right next to it is called what is the pit of the feature, which is the best place to throw the biggest moves. So riskier place to get back up, but easier to get into that perfect spot. And next up we have Luke dropping in. This is, I believe, this is going into their final ride. So let's see what he's got for us.
Starting things off with a spin, maybe a back roundhouse there. Going for an air screw. Luke, just a really stylish paddler, not just because you can see his hair flying under his helmet there, but going for the air screw the other direction, showing that big wave expertise. Getting points on the board, nice, calm, and collected. Luke often likes to listen to music right before he paddles, and I think he's probably imagining a song in his head as he finds that beat to the rhythm of his ride.
Oh yeah, 100%. And then he goes into that helix, staying in the feature, going for another pass, looking for the blunt McNasty, not getting the McNasty, but does stick the blunt. That is still going to be a great ride for Luke on his final ride of these preliminary rounds. He's already in a decent position, sitting at 11th. There's 2 more heats left to go, including his plus his own. So we'll see what this second ride scores at and what that puts him up on the leaderboards.
That's right. I know that those bottom 6 positions are going to be watching nervously to figure out where they will finish. Luke, 465.00 for that ride score. So that's going to raise him up to the 9th place position with 913.33. So Luke should be sitting pretty for tomorrow.
Yes, that'll very much depend on the performance of the paddlers in the rest of this heat, as I believe he is currently sitting above the others.
Well, in 9th place, if he's able to stay there after this round, there's only 10 paddlers left to go, but there's still the paddlers in this heat that could potentially bump him down. Maybe not, because Tom Dole is actually already ahead of him, but there are still paddlers in this heat that could bump him down, so nothing is final until it's final.
There you go, and that includes this next paddler, Matahu Watari, out of Japan. He is just starting his last ride here, catching the feature, looking to set himself up for his first big trick.
That's right. What is it going to be? I'm going to guess it's going to be one of those beautiful right blunts he's been showcasing in his other rides. We'll go for a left roundhouse.
He's definitely looking to get that good pass for the air. Looking for potentially a blunt, but getting a little too aggressive on that angle, a little too ambitious, almost flipping around, but managing to save it. He's still looking for that pass here, trying to get to the top of the feature.
That's right. You have to go edge to edge on the blunt, unfortunately, and landing it backwards. There it is. Beautiful move from Watari. Blunt the other direction, getting 3 tricks in a row here within the last 10 seconds of his ride as he goes for that donkey flip. What a strong finish.
Yeah, unfortunately flushes on the donkey flip, but like you said, he came in with 3 moves back to back right at the last minute to get as many points as he could. He knew that he had spent a lot of time looking for that position, but when he did find the position to start his first trick, he didn't waste it. He went back to back.
So 130 points in ride number 4. That will increase his total score and total finish 338.33, but will not be enough to move him into our top 20.
All right, and next up we have Tomasz Slipliski. He is looking to improve his current position of 13th.
That's right. He wants to get into that safe zone of the top 10. Beautiful air screw to start things off. Again, air screw the other direction. So much amplitude on these tricks. Tomas spinning it around, coming into the back blunt, going for a huge blunt the other direction, maybe a Pan Am on that trick. back blunt the other way. Now we're seeing this technical flow happening here, but I get nervous to say it because every time I say it, they flush. Trying maybe for a helix or a flip turn, but not quite getting it. You think he's going to get another blunt McNasty in on this ride?
Oh, I'm sure he's going to want to. It's one of his signature moves here. He showed it off multiple times earlier this week. There was a nice back blunt, potentially back pan. There's the blunt McNasty sticking it. We'll see if they give it. Trying to throw a helix on the buzzer. Don't believe that was inside of time, but that'll depend on what the judges call. That was a great finish for his fourth ride.
I mean, almost linking the helix attempt to that blunt McNasty, right? Because if you can continue that link, you might get the score. Or you might get that trick scored, even if it starts kind of after the buzzer. So that was just a great ride from Tomas. Look at the amplitude on that air screw. Just really huge, powerful moves, and I think relatively consistent on those tricks as well. Nice back blunt there on the replay.
Yeah, and considering his combined score at the moment is sitting at 846, having a ride that is around the 600 to 700 mark is going to drastically raise his position on the leaderboards at the moment.
But because he's already in that qualified spot, all it does is make him safer. So we'll see. Oh, 670 final score with a combined 1135. That should move him further up, well into the safe zone of the top 7. So he should be happy with that.
All right, here comes Greg LeBeau for his final ride here. Catch a little edge coming out. Let's see if he can recover. Come on. Let's see if he can catch that feature. Getting just on that shoulder. Flips upside down. Unfortunate flush.
You know, this is a hard sport for the sinuses.
Definitely, yes. That's why we all, or most of us, wear nose plugs.
Yeah, you can see the paddlers adjusting them sometime, but I'll tell you, on features like Good Wave, they don't always do much.
No, sometimes you flip once, they get pulled off, but I've paddled with them for all my life, and every time I see someone without it, I'm like, wow.
Yeah, I gave up.
I don't get how that works.
They don't stay on my nose very well. But, you know, I do want to say, you can't see it right now on the camera, but if I look just upstream to my right, I can see paddlers playing in the monkey wrench hole just upstream. So here in Columbus, we're at Good Wave, which is just one of many features on the Chattahoochee River. We've got the Players Lounge Wave. We've got the Great Wave. We've got the Lemur Wave. There's the Cut Bait Rapid. There's Monkey Wrench Hole. There's so many different features. I honestly can't even remember all of their names. But next up, Tom Dole of France dropping in for his fourth ride. Tom currently sitting in the top 9, also be looking to make sure he is safely through as he tries to set things up with a Pan Am, maybe an air screw. Going for a air screw or donkey flip the other direction. Going for that clean blunt to the right, trying to bonus out those points. Oh, he is in that danger zone.
Let's see if he can make his way back in. We haven't seen someone successfully do that yet, but he's going to try. It looks like he's given up a little bit, but that's okay. Being the last paddler in this heat and already being in 9th position, there are, let's have a look here, there are 2 more heats
10 more
of
paddlers.
10 more paddlers. He is guaranteed a position in the quarterfinals, as well as other paddlers from this heat, Luke Pomeroy and Thomas Klapliski.
That's right. So our current top 10 will be safely through to the quarterfinals, but we will be looking to see what happens for our next, or those bottom 10 paddlers, as we've got 2 more heats to go. So next up will be Marcus Mendy Swoboda of Austria, Mason Hargrove of the US of A, Caleb Jones out of the United States, Tomoyuki Wakai out of Japan, and Dane Jackson out of the USA. So there is a stacked heat still to come.
Yes, every single one of these paddlers in the next 2 heats are capable of making their way into that top 10, those top 10 positions. And we will find out very shortly after a short 15-minute break.
Join us back here. And in the meantime, feel free to visit the ICF website, check out the live scores for yourself, and make your bets. Who is it going to be? And we are back here. We have 2 more heats to go in the men's preliminary kayak surface event at the ICF Freestyle World Cup here in Columbus, Georgia. In heat number 7 coming up, we've got Marcus Mendy Swoboda out of Austria, hometown hero Mason Hargrove of the US of A, Caleb Jones out of Alabama, USA, Tomoyuki Wakai out of Japan, and Dane Jackson out of Rock Island, Tennessee, US of A. So some big names here in this heat. This is our 7th of 8 total heats, so as we are coming into the end of what has been a long but fairly awesome day here in Columbus, Georgia. I say that because we're on the Columbus side.
Yeah, right across the river is Phoenix City, Alabama, where all the athletes have actually been camping over at the wintering grounds run by Whitewater Express. And here we're going right into the beginning of the heat with Marcus Mendy Swoboda. He is from Austria. He is a very experienced competitor, maybe not in the freestyle world, but he just came back from winning the World Championships of Canoe Marathon, which is very impressive.
Super impressive. You know, Marcus also competing yesterday in the men's sport boating class to help make sure that there was 2 nations, so it was a legal class, having never been in a sport boat before.
Yeah, he volunteered right at the last minute, and here he's showing off. He's got a spin one direction, going for a spin the other direction. See what else he's got, getting caught a little bit on an edge here.
Yeah, that's right. Marcus also an amputee. So I think just a talented overall athlete, and even though he's new to the freestyle realm, we are excited to see him out on the water here today. So
yeah, he's an absolute inspiration for all paddlers.
Yeah, so it's points on the board, first ride score of 20 points. So we'll see what he has for us for the next 3 rides. 4 rides, best 2 rides combined count here for preliminaries as all of our paddlers try and make it into that top 20. So I see Mason Hargrove choosing to paddle onto the wave. Oh, excuse me, as he's dropping on from the judges' tent there, representing the blue, starting things off with a huge air screw right away. Mason taking the first place finish on the ambush feature just earlier this week, so he's going to be looking to repeat that performance, and he is off to a strong start. Though, Mason, you've just done 3 air screws, and they only score once each direction.
I believe the first one was a Pan Am, actually.
Well, that's good.
Yeah,
that
so there was the Pan Am the other way.
Strong first 4 moves from Mason Hargrove. So he's going to be looking to not only, I think, be in the top 10, but to be atop of that leaderboard. So going for a blunt into the McNasty. Huge combo there. Right into the blunt McNasty the other direction. Oh my goodness, what a great first ride from Mason.
That was absolutely incredible, and we've been seeing him throw down, honestly, I think probably the biggest tricks I've seen on Good Wave. This is his home feature, which does lead to a really good advantage. He paddles here pretty much every day when it's
You were right. There was that first Pan Am. You can tell because the boat lands backwards, but if you blink like me, it can be difficult to fully catch the trick. The Pan Am the other direction. So much power, so much explosivity out of Mason. So first year competing as a senior. Here on his hometown features. I know his mom, Melissa, and dad, Matt, are cheering him on. Dad, Matt, will actually be in the next heat. And then sister, MK, will be competing in the juniors. Look at that blunt McNasty. That was just absolutely enormous. Unfortunately, flushing on that last bit of the trick.
Yeah, so he just came off of winning the World Cup #1 earlier this week, and he's definitely looking to podium, but he definitely wants that gold medal.
Next up, out of Alabama, USA, is Caleb Jones, sporting that USA flag on his shirt sleeve, looking to drop in. So I know that he's a frequenter of the Alabama race scene, so really strong community in the Southeast USA, but I don't know much about his freestyle background. But Caleb starting things off strong with 2 spins, going right into a blunt or a roundhouse to the right. So going for the back for that same trick to try and get the verticality, and unfortunately catching that bubble on that flush on that heartbreak corner.
Yeah, he does list Good Wave as his favorite wave. And another little piece of background information on him. His ambition is currently to beat Mason Hargrove in their fantasy football league.
Oh, well, if you've got to beat Mason, that's a good place to do it.
Yeah, off of the water.
Yeah. I know. No, what a strong first ride from Caleb, dropping in here, taking part in this World Cup. So I love watching these replays. He spins it around there, and I love just watching the water and seeing how powerful the water is. You know, waiting in line yesterday, I was like, ooh, it looks really fluffy.
It
There's
does.
a lot of foam on that wave. And
And
that makes it harder.
Definitely, but interestingly enough, it's actually been greening out. We've noticed a couple more instances where it's gone almost completely green as the day gets later, and that can be the thing with these rivers. They are dam controlled. Oh, I guess we just missed Tomoyuki Wakai's first ride. Seems like he got a, what looked like a possible blunt and then flushed off the back of it afterwards.
Yeah, looks like 2 of the judges chose to score that as a blunt. So unfortunately not able to see his first ride, but we'll be watching for his next ones. But still, next to go, the current reigning freestyle world champion, the one, the only, Dane Jackson.
Yeah, but like I was mentioning, on these rivers, even though they are dam controlled and we do get controlled releases, it can vary over time. We do still rely on a partial natural flow, so throughout the day you may see the wave change. So athletes do need to train on multiple different levels so that no matter how the wave is behaving when it's their turn, they know how to maximize their rides.
It also makes a difference what the pool height behind the wave is. So as the water comes in throughout the day in the wave and the pool behind it fills up, the wave does change subtly. But Dane Jackson dropping in, arguably the best kayaker in the world, starting things off with an air screw the other direction, going for a Pan Am to the left, and then a back blunt to the right, maybe a back Pan Am. That looked not quite over vertical enough for my eyes from this angle, going for a clean blunt to the right. Oh, Pan Am, same direction. Dane just a technician. I think he could probably do every move on the score sheet easily. It's just a matter of what move feels right for what pass. Maybe trying for a flip turn, going for the helix, trying to just score up, rack up those points so he can get atop of that leaderboard. Trying for that flip turn, going for the helix to the right. Clean blunt the other direction on the buzzer. We'll see if that trick stuck enough to score, but really strong first ride from Dane Jackson.
And you said arguably the best paddler in the world. At the moment, he is currently the best freestyle kayaker in the world, currently holding the world champion title from this year's World Championships in Nottingham, the UK.
That's right, which he earned that title despite having COVID the week before and having very limited practice time or training time in that feature. You know, Dane just understands water, understands how water moves, and his ability to read and react is, I think, fairly unmatched.
Yeah, he definitely struggled early on in that competition in Nottingham, but came out in finals with a ride that just blew everybody's minds, taking the first place.
That's right, and you know, Dane finishing 3rd at the Ambush World Cup earlier this week, I think is a nice reminder to everyone out there that even the best of the best have days where they don't quite put it together the way that they want to or are fully capable of.
Definitely.
Right, and Dane, I think, not only a talented athlete, but just a phenomenal competitor, always out there in the water, making sure that everyone has their best day. So 1086.67, very strong first ride score for Dane. That should put him in the top 10 on that score alone.
And now we have Mendy of Austria dropping in for his second ride. Again, absolutely phenomenal paddler. Not maybe newer to the whitewater scene, but definitely an experienced competitor in the world of paddle sports.
Yeah, spinning it around, trying to get some points on the board here as he moves around the good wave. You know, knowing that Mendy is an amputee, I think it would be harder to control the boat in some aspects, and I'm curious to know how he finds this feature.
Yeah, it's definitely, you don't see too many. We did have a paddler who also had a similar situation back home, and he had an interesting concept where he had a little one of his legs, he'd screw himself into the boat and had a quick release to get out. I know that Mendy's approach is slightly different as well, more opting with more foam padding, but
Yeah.
it's awesome to see their dedication to the sport and what they're able to come and pull out here.
And I think that this fact that this can be an adaptive sport, and that's just amazing on its own. But yeah, here we've got hometown hero Mason Hargrove out of Phoenixville, Alabama, living maybe 5 miles upstream, dropping to show the world what he is capable of.
Starting off with a huge air screw, most likely to go for the air screw the other direction. Next up, I know he's probably going to look for his Pan Ams. It's been his traditional set, air screw, Pan Am. We'll see what he's got for us.
That's right.
There's that Pan Am.
These athletes have a routine in their head that they're trying to get, going for the back blunt right off of the Pan Am, not wasting a second of landing backwards, Pan Am the other direction, spinning it back around, right into the back Pan Am the other way. That was a huge trick.
Unfortunately, catching a flush at the end of that, but still a solid ride, and combined will put him nice and cleanly into the quarterfinals regardless.
Right. I was hoping to see another one of those blunt McNasties, but we'll have to wait for ride 3.
I'm sure they'll come back around.
Yeah, almost a guarantee. You know, Mason and 2 younger sisters, McKinley Kate out there also competing in the junior women, also taking the top honors on the Ambush event. So it's been a good week for the Hargrove family. Mom Melissa is out there putting on clinics, helping run around, organizing everything. So Mason with the 640 on ride 2 puts him at 15:03. That should put him in the top 5. So we will see. Yep, puts him in that 4th place position right now. But next up, Caleb Jones out of Alabama, looking to put down his best ride scores. Ride number 2. Looking to spin things around for a back blunt, going for a front blunt to the right, maybe a roundhouse. It's so hard to tell the angle of that sternum with all of that foam and sun and glare. I do not envy our judges down there in the tent making these calls.
Right, he's looking to set something up backwards, looking potentially for that back roundhouse. Trying to work his way through the foam pile, set himself up for his next trick. Unfortunately, goes for the back blunt, catches a deep stern and gets pulled out the back of the wave.
Yeah, it is a challenging feature to stay in and to stay in control. So Caleb doing a really great job of showing the way of who's boss there as he goes to set up for that roundhouse in this replay. You can see him using his paddle to spin it back around. It is way safer to be facing forward on this wave. So Caleb's second ride, 30 points, putting him with a combined score of 75. Probably not enough to beat Mason quite yet, but I'm sure that he's got him at that fantasy football, was it you said?
Yeah, that was the one.
So Tomoyuki Wakai, we missed his last ride, so I'm excited to see what he has for us here.
Getting the roundhouse to the right at the beginning of his ride. Looking to set something else up on that surfer's left shoulder. A nice left blunt. This is definitely looking much better than that first ride. I believe he had flushed after the attempt of a blunt, so now he's got blunt roundhouse in, going for a back roundhouse potentially.
Maybe getting a spin out of it, if nothing else.
Looking to set up on that surfer's right shoulder. Having a little bit of a hard time dealing with that foam pile. It is a very pushy corner.
It is indeed. Spinning it around. Looking to set up for that next trick. 6 more seconds on the clock. Oh my goodness, I thought he was going to eat it, but he saved it. That was great. And then an air screw out of that. Whoa, what a trick. He's stoked.
Yeah, definitely.
I can hear the crowd cheering too. They're stoked.
Yeah, we're not close to them. We're above them actually, and we can still hear them every time something big happens. The crowd goes insane, and the crowd's just going to keep getting bigger as the World Cup final wears on into the weekend.
That's right. We are here on the Chattahoochee River at the Good Wave Island. There are rafts set up. There are stands set up. There is a live screen and feed set up. We are ready for our crowds to come and take a look.
All right, and here coming into the wave for his second run, Dane Jackson, already putting in a phenomenal first run, starting off with a beautiful air screw hull to hull, air screw the other direction. Absolute technician on this feature, going for the Pan Am to the left. Looking to set something else up, maybe a back Pan Am. Absolutely stunning. Going for the Pan Am the other direction. Not quite getting the angle. Looks like it might have come around as a blunt. Cartwheeling out of it. Going for the back stab. Setting up on that surfer's right shoulder. Going for the air screw. Looking for the air screw the other direction. Not quite getting it. Maybe counting as a flip turn. We'll have to see what that counts. The clean left aerial blunt. Going for the pistol flip. I think that's the first one we've seen today. Clean blunt the other direction. Unfortunately pushing him right off the back, but that's already a solid second ride. Second ride over 1,000 points at the moment. That should be definitely enough to put him way up in the top 3 position.
Yeah, Dane just so consistent, so much edge control. You see him just not wasting any time on the wave, moving pass to pass, trick to trick, and really just throwing down. That was a fantastic ride from Dane Jackson.
Yeah, many of his tricks, including both sides air screws, were textbook perfect, coming around, starting off exactly straight upstream, rotating 360 degrees, landing on the water on his hull again, the same angle he started at.
I know, I hope girlfriend Chloe watching the live stream can now take a breath. Dane managed to stay on the wave 2 rides in a row, solid rides. Chloe, you can relax. Mom, you can relax. I know everyone is kind of watching because even the best of the best here have had a hard time with this feature.
Yeah, we've seen some absolutely heartbreaking flushes right at the beginning of runs. It has been a crazy roller coaster of a day.
It absolutely has, and it's not over yet. Look at this replay as Dane goes for that flip turn, maybe the helix there. Kind of getting a little bit bossed around in the foam and then just pulling a clean blunt out of that like it's nothing. I remember at the Garb World, Dane's score still being calculated here. Garb Worlds, Dane just ticking off the score sheet, right, left, right, left, right, left. And yeah, just a phenomenal athlete overall.
So it's currently bouncing at the 1185. We're waiting for it to confirm. At the moment, if that is what comes in, that'll put him into the first position spot.
That's right. Still flashing. I wonder if the judges are calculating those bonuses. Oh!
Just over 1,200 points at the moment.
Still flashing. Still flashing. This is the most tensed moment, I think.
Yes. Oh, locking in at a 12:01.67, which should put him up. I'm just waiting for the score sheet here to update.
Yeah, it's 2288.34 would be that total. Does that put him in the top spot?
It definitely will.
Well, that's a good place to be. And a place that Dane is no stranger to. But next up, out of Austria, Marcus Mendy Swoboda. You said a canoe marathon world champion?
Yep, canoe marathon world champion.
What is that even? I can't even imagine. Is that a long distance race?
Yes, it's extremely long distance.
Yeah, like a marathon.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
Oh, so unfortunately, catching an edge and cartwheeling out of the feature. He's already had a couple rides with some points, and he's still got one more to go, so we'll see him back for his 4th run shortly.
That's right. Marcus, just what a legend, eh? Jumping into the squirt boat competition yesterday, despite never having squirt boated. And I think out here for the experience, for the vibe, and for the fun of it. And those are the competitors we like to see.
Yeah, he's been up at the Whitewater Express showing us some videos of some of the features they paddle on back home. There's some very interesting spots out there in near Austria and also into Germany where they paddle a lot in as well.
That's right. The next World Cup will be here in Columbus, but the one after that will be in Plattling in Germany. So
that'll be a very exciting trip.
It's crazy that, it's so far in advance you can actually plan what there is to come. So we really appreciate all the work the ICF does and all those home communities do to establish those locations early on.
Yeah, it takes years to organize these styles of events.
Yeah, not a small undertaking.
Definitely not. And here comes Mason in for his 3rd ride. He is currently in 5th. He's looking to climb the ranks even more, starting off with a beautiful, massive air screw. Unfortunately, catching a bow. We've seen that happen multiple times already on that surfer's right shoulder, and Mason is not immune to it.
That's right. No one is here. And so it is a challenging feature, and I know that is one of those moments that it's just like, oh, it's got to hurt.
Definitely, yes. And he's definitely going to be sticking so far with his run 1 and 2 combination, but he's still got one more run to come in and prove what he can do on his home wave.
Yeah, Mason, I know, would love to take that double gold, but there's going to be some fierce competition for those top 3 podium spots.
100%. Yeah, and he's going to be sticking with his 15:03, keeping him currently in 5th position.
Next up, Caleb Jones. Out of Alabama, USA, part of the Alabama scene of races, general all-around paddler. I think Mace may be one of his first freestyle competitions, definitely his first World Cup appearance, as he is dropping in here. Starting things off strong with a roundhouse to the right, spinning it back around, going back to get the verticality on that trick if he can, spinning right around in the other direction. Points are points. And, you know, a spin is nothing to sneer at either.
No, 100%. There, like we've mentioned multiple times, there's like that 10 points can make the difference between an entire.
Oh, was
wow!
that the
going
back
for,
Pan Am?
Yeah, I believe that was going for a back Pan Am. He almost stuck it as well. That was fantastic to see.
Great ride from Caleb. And, you know, even if the scores don't fully represent the tricks that you are trying out there, still great show of athleticism. Way to just showcase what he is capable of here in Columbus.
Yeah, and I think his bio here is actually decided to find a new place that I'm going to have to go try for some food. He says his favorite place is tamales from It's Tamale Time in Phoenix City, which is where we've been staying. So
I haven't been there yet. Have
me
you?
neither. Definitely not. I think that's going to be a target spot this weekend.
There we go. There we go. Yeah, there's 35 points for Caleb from that ride. But there is just a plethora of fantastic food here on both sides of the river. And I have to say, Southern hospitality like I have never experienced before. But now out of Japan, Tomoyuki Wakai throwing down a big ride, his last ride. We'll see what he's got for us this time. So looking to set things up, waiting for that perfect pass. Maybe trying for something clean there, but not quite getting what he wanted. Cartwheeling it, spinning it around as he tries to regain control.
Yeah, this feature is very rowdy, as you see there. He's getting tossed around a little bit, struggling to maintain control as he starts to cartwheel into stuff. But here he's got his control back. He's looking for the right spot on the feature to get a perfect pass. He's definitely looking for one of those blunts. There is a clean blunt. I don't think I've seen that from his ride so far, so that was beautiful.
Yeah.
Still looking to set up on that shoulder.
A bit surprising, to be honest, but that's the best part about being surprised here. So that was a blunt the other direction. So getting those points in on the board. You know, I was saying to somebody earlier today, after watching a lot of the training rides, when you're training and there's not the clock going, it's hard to realize how much time it takes to actually set up and go move to move. And then to only have 45 seconds to put a ride together is challenging.
Yeah, definitely. I know I've seen some paddlers throw a watch on and kind of calculate how long it takes to drop in and then have it buzz once they have the 45 seconds on the feature. But
Yeah.
that is some dedication to competition.
Yeah, it is. And it, you know, it takes training, it takes practice, and a lot of really good kayakers aren't amazing at competition, and then you get the people that are great competitors and great paddlers. So it's all kinds, and we get both here at these World Cups.
Yeah, and speaking of one of those people, we got Dane Jackson coming in. He's a great all-around paddler, starting it off with a air screw to an air screw that actually might have ended up turning into a Pan Am. That was definitely a Pan Am.
Yeah, I think I'll give it to him. Going for the back Pan Am. The other direction, bouncing around as he carves over to that shoulder, taking time to set up the trick that he wants, maybe getting a blunt out of that. It looked like he was going to almost try for the blunt McNasty and then decided not to. Oh, nice big flashback there with a window shade combo bonus.
He's looking to come back down here for another pass, going for the helix.
That was huge, and now he's on that flush bubble. You could see the wave just green out and disappear right there on that surfer's left shoulder.
Yeah, and he's not going to fight it. He doesn't need the extra points at the moment, and he's still got another ride. He's currently sitting in the top position with a 22.88 combined.
Yeah, and at this point, you know, every ride does count, right? Because tiebreakers go down to your lowest ride score, as well as just every ride is practice for the rides to come. 4 rides per paddler in this round. The next round, I believe, is still only 2.
I believe so.
Yep. Maybe 3 in quarterfinals.
We'll have to double check and come back to you with
Yeah,
that
don't
later.
quote me on that one. But, you know, it does get lower, and then you get 3 rides in finals where your best one counts. So each format rewards consistency, it rewards performance, and they're all a little bit different. So don't want to waste a ride. Look at this replay here of that Pan Am. Boom. But do you think Dane makes sound effects in his head as he lands his tricks?
I think everybody makes sound effects of some form when they're on the wave. And those that don't, you see it on their face. Their face does the sound effects for them.
It's true. Imagine if you had like the closed caption of what was going on in every paddler's head right now. Mine would be, don't mess up, don't mess up, don't mess up. I'm scared.
We could start a new YouTube, we could start a new paddler video trend right there.
Yeah, exactly. Text us in your comments, what do you think is going through Dane's head right now on this ride?
All right, so his score locks in. He's definitely keeping his first 2 rides, but we are heading back to the top with Marcus Mandy Swoboda of Austria. Catching the feature. looking to set something up there. I know he's looking for both spins each direction. There is one. He's going to be setting up for the other direction. Not quite getting the stern around on that case. He's going to be looking to set that one up one more time.
Yeah.
Almost flushing out on that green water.
Maintaining that edge control with that brace stroke, that is an important skill to practice. And then getting the bounce here, spinning it around to the right. Doing his best to stay in control on this rowdy feature. A little bit different than ambush, eh?
Yeah, quite a bit different. It is a lot bouncier, a lot more difficult. He's going for the roundhouse. Let's see if they score that. Now the roundhouse, you need to have rotated around the front of the boat and get any rotational degree on the stern from 0 to 45. Unfortunately, they did not score that for him, so he will be sticking with his combined 1 and 2 ride of 41 points. But next up, we've got Mason. Mason is currently sitting in 5th position with a combined of 15.05. He wants to best that. He wants to be the last paddler to paddle in quarterfinals.
That's right. This is ride number 4. Mason starting off strong with the air screw. Going for a blunt, spinning right out of it. Looks like he was maybe trying for the blunt McNasty. Trying for a clean blunt on that one, not quite getting the rotation. Mason, really dynamic paddler, really powerful paddler, not always the most consistent paddler, right? That's the risk of that go big style, but that was a beautiful blunt McNasty. I would probably put air on both of those tricks. Nice Pan Am the other direction, huge back Pan Am, you know, and then boom, air screw the other way. So not consistent, the fact that he's changing up his ride, but my gosh, he knows that he can do those tricks and do them well.
And consistency can be one of those things that comes with experience, and there is the other blunt nasty. And considering that this is his first, not his first Worlds event as a senior, but his first year as a senior, he's still got plenty of time to build that consistency up. And in the next couple years, he's going to be an absolute menace. He's already a menace in the sport.
He's definitely a menace. But you can see the score ticking over the 1,000-point mark, and he is going to be happy with that. We'll see where that score lands. But that was a big ride from Mason Hargrove. Now, this right here is giving us a teaser of what we think the ride scores are going to need to be atop that podium. Let's see.
Currently, though, our current cutoff for quarterfinals is sitting at, with Daniel Jones in 20th position with a 610 combined. So as long as you could, the next paddlers in the next heat can make it past that score, they are guaranteed a spot in the semifinals.
That's right, and that will be taking place tomorrow afternoon, I believe. So yeah, that is a tough position to be in, that bubble boy zone.
And I believe I heard the score did finalize. We're still waiting to see it on the screen here, but it looks
still flashing.
Still flashing. The judges are, he's really giving the judges a lot of work to do on this one.
Yeah, I believe Mason put down the highest single ride score on the first day of competition at Ambush. I'm not sure who put down the single highest ride score over the entire competition at Ambush, but
I'm pretty sure it's him at, like, I believe he scored a 1,500-point ride.
So I believe that everyone's going to be competing for those honors today too, and so 1,255 points, putting him at a total of 2118.33. So I believe that will be below Dane and also below Mixo in that 3rd place position. Respectable. I say that as if I could also do that.
Yeah, I think it's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Honestly,
but,
to be in the top 20 on this, even to be competing here, is pretty impressive.
Yeah, his dad Matt's gonna be in the next round. And I wonder if that's like super hyping Matt up right now as well. So I think that is really cool. But right now, Caleb Jones dropping in for his 4th ride, sporting the US of A flag on his shoulder, representing Southeast boy over here.
Going for a shove it, going for looking for the spin the other direction, not quite rotating fast enough the entire way. Looking for it again, that time it looked much better on that spin. Going for the roundhouse to the left, almost getting cartwheeled off his stern. Looking potentially to get the bounce for the other roundhouse. We have seen him try for we actually have seen him land one, just not quite in the feature, a back Pan Am, so maybe we'll see him go for it one more time here in his final ride.
You know, I love as the camera moves from behind the wave to in front of the wave, and you can really see the difference in perspective. This wave is fairly steep. It is fairly big. It is foamy. There's that blunt back Pan Am that he keeps trying for. He is stoked.
He is extremely happy with that. It looks like he had been trying for that this entire competition, going for one his last run, and now on his final run, landing it.
Yeah, let's see what the scores have to say for Mr. Caleb Jones. But yeah, there you go. You get this angle here. It gives you a little bit more of a sense of the actual steepness of this feature. I think this feature is one that just really feels different when you're on it versus when you're standing on the side and looking at it. That happens a lot, actually, I think, in kayaking, that like no problem from the road kind of deal.
Yeah, exactly. And his second score coming in at 45, putting a combined score of 90, which will currently sit him in 30th position.
30th in the world?
That is a feat.
That's a feat.
All right.
Wakaya of Japan going for, maybe trying for a clean blunt, not quite getting the rotation, spinning out of it. There's that clean blunt. That is beautiful, actually.
Oh, no.
I shouldn't say actually, but unfortunate flush.
Yeah, unfortunately he flushed off that after spinning out of that very beautiful clean blunt. Something that we've seen him do in the last couple rides. I believe the last ride is the first time we saw him do it in this competition so far.
That's right. Yeah, challenge of a clean blunt is that you have to initiate the rotation from your hips and from your core, right, rather than letting your boat rotate around the paddle. So actually a challenging trick and kind of a scary one on this feature.
Yeah, and that first little thing that he did, that attempt at the clean blunt in the first place, almost ended up looking almost like a clean sidekick, which would be pretty cool to see.
That would be really cool. So sitting with a combined score of 356.67, I believe will not be high enough to place him in our top 20 or move him on. But still a respectable showing.
Just above his teammate Motoru Watari, putting him into 23rd position.
Next up, still topping the leaderboard, the one, the only, Dane Jackson. Air screw to start things off, followed by a back blunt, maybe a back Pan Am. I believe that was almost a roundhouse. Up, air screw, the other direction. Massive Pan Am. Spinning it around as he goes to set up for that next trick. Just so calm, under pressure. Back blunt, right into his next trick. Nice Pan Am. Look at the control as he knows exactly where to set that edge down. Trying for a flip turn, maybe going back for that. Wasn't happy with it. Knows he can do better. Helix to the right, helix to the left, and then on the buzzer, the clean blunt.
And look how much control he shows on that right shoulder. It is a very hazardous place to be, as it can just randomly crash and flip you or plug your nose, as we saw it happen to Mason on his third ride.
That's true.
So yeah, it's a very risky spot to be, but it's definitely paying off in points for Dane.
And, you know, and speaking of consistency, I think every one of Dane's rides is around that 1,000-point or higher mark. So, you know, he can not only do this trick once, but he does these tricks pretty much every time he tries them. And I think that is really what puts him at the top of the class when it comes to just all-around boating. You know, getting on the Stikine this year for his first time, finally getting the chance to take his big wave skills to a different environment, one that he had dreamed of for years, running big waterfalls, and all really before he has even turned 30. So the year of 30 coming up here, and I know that Dane's got a lot in store for the world.
Yeah,
Look
so
at that
his
air
score
screw.
locking in at 11-11, which I believe does actually raise his combined point to 23-13, solidifying his first place even more. There is still one heat left to go as this wraps up the second to last preliminaries heat, heat number 7. In the next heat, we will see Oliver Hepp of Austria, Matt Hargrove, dad of the United States, Jacob Boswell, Great Britain, Visa Rakola of Finland, our current silver medalist of World Cup 1, and David McClure of Ireland. So we will see you guys back in just a short 10-minute break. Again, make sure to check out any of the socials from the ICF, including their Facebook page, ICF Freestyle, and their Instagram, ICF Freestyle, where they'll be keeping everything up to date, including podium pictures and previous results. We'll see you guys in a bit. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for the last time today. This is our final heats of men's prelims. It's been an absolutely insane roller coaster day. Tons of ups and downs, a few upsets, a few massive surprises. So in this next heat here, our last heat of today, we'll have Oliver Hepp of Austria, Matt Hargrove of the United States, Jacob Boswell of Great Britain, Visa Rakola, current silver medalist at the first World Cup earlier this week from Finland, and David McClure of Ireland.
So lots of talent to come here in this last heat. It has been a huge day out here in the sun, in the heat, on the Chattahoochee River. So for all of you tuning in and watching, thank you for your support. For all of those down in the crowds, bringing the stoke, keeping the vibe high, we appreciate you. And I'm excited to get this last heat going, not just because we get to go home and hide, nope, not at all, but because I'm excited to see what these paddlers have for us. So Oliver out of Austria, not super familiar with him, but we'll be pulling up some information here to see what we can tell you. Matt Hargrove of the famous Hargrove family here in Columbus, Georgia. Son Mason competed in the last heat.
Yeah,
So
as I mentioned earlier, he's the Dad Hargrove, or we're going to call him Dad of the United States now. So
that's right. That's your new name, Matt. I saw him actually working remotely from his trailer in the parking lot just yesterday in between training rides. Jake Boswell of Great Britain, out of Nottingham, near the HPP White Water Course, actually owner of Flow Kayak, so a kayak shop. So he actually helps supply the kayakers with the kayaks, and it's exciting to see him here on the water.
yeah, so entertainingly enough, it looks like under Oliver's bib number, his teammate Mendy filled out his own information, so we don't actually have any information on Oliver. So we will have to invent a couple things here as he drops into the feature.
If you guys know things about Oliver, feel free to put them in the comments, because he is out there now. Oh, I've seen him around this week.
Yeah, I know he's tall.
Yeah.
He's got long hair.
Yeah, starting things off with a roundhouse, spinning it back around, getting some points on the board here. I believe this may be his first World Cup event, but he is looking to show us why he's here. So taking his time, surfing around, spinning around, roundhouse to the right, backing it up. I believe one of my teammates, Jessie Stone of the USA, was saying that she stood in line with him for about an hour the other day, waiting for her next ride, and she got to know him. He was a really nice guy. There was a beautiful blunt with some air on it.
Yeah, he's going to be pretty stoked with that.
Looking to spin it backwards and staying in the wave for the entire 45 seconds. That's a feat of its own.
Yeah, so it looks like the score is still sitting at around the 78-33. Not a bad first run for the Austrian Oliver Hepp.
That's right. So fun to see so many different nationalities out here competing. I believe the slideshow we had running earlier said over 16 different countries, 98 different paddlers.
Yeah, it's an impressive show. All right, next up we've got Matt Hargrove.
That's right. A little bit of a hometown hero here, working with Team River Runner, as well as helping, I think, about half the city of Columbus learn to kayak. Dad to Matt, MK, Mary Claire, and Mathis. So total family man out here, starting things off with a spin, maybe a back roundhouse. Looking like a spin, though. Going for almost a blunt into a cartwheel and then getting a face serve. I think so far Matt dropping on, though, has had the loudest cheers of anyone out there yet today.
Yeah, I guarantee that. We could hear it, like, even through our headphones. We have them pretty max volume, and we could still hear the crowd.
So that was amazing. So Matt Hargrove, points on the board in his first World Cup event. So how cool that instead of just cheering his family on from the sides, Matt himself gets a chance to have his family cheering him on.
Exactly. It's a role reversal in that case. And now they're just letting the time run out to give all of the paddlers a
breather,
allow them to have the same kind of rest they would have if the paddler had had the full ride.
That's right. Paddlers have to get out of their boat, walk up the island, put back in at the top. It takes time.
It is absolutely exhausting.
Jake Boswell.
Yeah, Jake Boswell of Great Britain. Let me see if I can pull up a little bit of bio information of him.
So Jake, living in Nottingham, where he owns the Flow Kayak shop, which is a kayak outfitter. I actually saw him in France just last week at the Paddle Sports Show, and then before he made his way here, starting things off strong with a blunt. Jake, a paddler that has come up loads in the last few years just from living and training in the HPP scene alongside of so many talented British paddlers. Spending time also with the hurley weir. There we go. I see a back blunt there that he was able to spin into as he works his way back towards that kind of safer zone of the wave. Jake going for a back blunt once again, maybe getting air on that one. Yeah, this is, I think, the good wave here is a far cry from the Nottingham HPP whitewater course, but, you know, skills are transferable and adaptable. Jake, unfortunately, catching the flush there just at the end of his ride, but still solid points on the board. Strong ride for Jake.
Yeah, and he says, why kayaking? He says, what else would I do? And you know what? I kind of have to agree. I've tried many other things, but at the end of the day, it's not quite like kayaking.
It's not. You know, it doesn't really compare to the community, the environment, all of it. It's truly a special sport.
Exactly, and his favorite places to paddle are Rip the Nile Special, and that's, yeah.
Isn't that the truth? Nile Special, a wave on the White Nile River in Uganda that was lost due to the Bujagali Dam. Actually, I believe it was the other dam, but...
Yeah, there's a couple down there.
Yeah.
And then his second one is Millau, which is actually where they held one of the 2014 World Cups. That is Millau in France.
Yeah, very different feature than Nile Special.
Yeah, it is in a small artificial slalom course. So his total points coming in right now in his first ride of 220.
Strong first ride score from Jake. I believe Jake will be looking to make the British freestyle team next year, so we'll have to see. This is great preparation for that. But next, Visa Rakola out of Finland, already sporting some bling from this World Cup week. Silver medalist at the ambush wave, I think surprising maybe himself a little bit, but knowing that he was capable of it, starting things off with a big air blunt to the left. Looking to set things up for his next trip. Visa, no stranger to the stakeout waves of his home in Finland, going for a clean roundhouse both directions. You can see those pinkies just bing, pop right up there. Visa also competing at the World Championships in Nottingham this past year. Beautiful back blunt from Visa.
Yeah, he actually came 13th at the past World Championships.
Really talented, I think, all-around freestyle paddler, working with Coach Den Newton of Sweetwater Coaching, part of his ASP athlete support program. Den doing a lot out there with the Finnish team, and really you can see it showing as Visa goes from that black blunt right for the helix on the buzzer. So score so far maybe a little lower than he would have liked, but strong first ride from Visa.
Definitely. And again, showing off that the Finnish are no stranger to big wave boating.
I think if it wasn't so cold, I'd really want to go there.
It's not that bad compared to Canada, though.
That's true. But when you compare it to the 30-degree day or 90-degree heat we have here in Columbus.
Yeah, it is a far-fetched stretch from this.
It feels hard to believe it's autumn. It feels like summer out here. But my gosh, do you know that they actually were initially thinking of holding the World Cup Championship in July or August, and the town said, absolutely not. That's a terrible idea. Not only will it be more difficult to get water, you might all die of heat.
Yeah, I think we'd have athletes collapsing left and right of heat stroke.
So they
I heard it was warm.
They actually brought some of the ICF representatives out here in May, and they said, if you think it's hot now, double it. And they were like, all right, October it is.
So his final ride coming in, final score for his first ride coming in at 395. But up next, we have David McClure.
I believe the current reigning European champion, or at least last year's European champion, finalist at the last World Championships in Nottingham, England, but unfortunately missing the podium. Really skilled all-around paddler out of Ireland. David McClure starting these off with an air screw, going for a clean blunt to the left. Clean blunt the other direction. That was beautiful. There's something about the silhouette of that trick against the sun and the wave that is just one of my favorite things to see. Ooh, David, can he save it? He is back on the feature. Thank goodness, that was a stressful bobble there. Going for a massive air screw. Sometimes you see those tricks and they rotate so quickly, and other times they're like quite lofty and slow, and they're both just such fun tricks to watch, but it's interesting to see every paddler's style. That was a huge helix, one of the biggest we've seen today, and we'll see if that landed enough to score.
Yeah, David McClure showing absolutely phenomenal talent on this wave. I am not sure what waves they have out in Ireland. I know they probably have some ocean waves to surf on.
Definitely some ocean waves on the coast. There is a wave near the city of Galway, but I don't think it's great for short boats like freestyle. But David also working with the Southeast Freestyle team and really helping to bring up the next generation of Irish paddlers. So talented coach as well.
Yeah.
Dave also recently just learned of the American candy called Airheads. If you've ever heard of those.
Yes.
They're like a fruit flavored, I don't even know what you would even call that texture. But Dave recently discovered those and learned that he loves them. So it's been a culturally immersive experience here for him this trip to the US of A.
There you go, and his score coming in at 6:33 for his first ride.
So next up, Oliver Hepp with ride number 2, Oliver out of Austria. So Oliver putting down some strong blunts in his first ride, and he's going to be looking to repeat that, starting things off with a spin. Spin the other direction. Oh, unfortunately flushing off the wave.
Yeah, not quite what he was looking for, not quite as good as his first ride, but he's still got 2 more to go. And we'll see in the replay here, but I was wondering if his paddle is like partially see-through in the sun there.
Yeah, it's almost translucent. You can see him porting that sweet protection strutter, which I think is a necessary piece of equipment out here, having that bit of a peak.
Oh yeah, it's a huge game changer, especially in the sun.
You know, as athletes here in the event, they give you swag bags. So you got your bib, you got your athlete credentials, you usually get a t-shirt, give you water. This time they gave us a water bottle, thank you, a reusable one, notice, as well as sun cream or
Yes.
sunscreen. So that was well played.
That's how you know
Uptown
they know
Columbus.
how it is around here.
It's true. It's true. So thank you for the free sunscreen because we need it. But next up, Dad of America, America's dad, Matt Hargrove out of US of A. So general, all around great human here. Matt working on the computer in the parking lot in between heats, cheering on his kids, helping make this event possible, and then also out here competing, spinning it to win it, spins both directions, points
Claims it.
on the board, claims it. Yeah. Matt bouncing it around as he looks for a roundhouse, maybe a blunt. He's coming back up the corner. He's going for that pass. There you go. Trying for one of those vertical maneuvers. He's so stoked. And this is what it is all about. Gosh, I hope his family's out there just fully cheering him on, and I am sure that they are. Wouldn't be surprised to see his youngest daughter, Mary Claire, out here competing next year as well, and I think the Hargroves, just a great example of how kayaking is a sport for the entire family.
Yeah, and when you think of it, he's already basically won the whole thing, considering he's out here on his home feature in his hometown with an event that he helped really, with a community that he helped really build from the ground up, and already 2 gold medals in his family this week.
That's right. They're going to have to build a new room in the RV to store all the medals their family is winning. It's going to, it'll be like Matt Hardware, Matt Hargrove. That was a terrible joke. I am sorry.
We still laugh anyway.
Yeah,
All right, Jacob Boswell coming in for his second run, looking to best his first run, looking to try to set something up on that dangerous shoulder there.
Yeah, spinning it around as he tries to work his way back into that safe zone, paddling that Gigi helixer, going for a beautiful back blunt in carbon there. Maybe spinning it around, trying a clean blunt or maybe a back roundhouse. Getting that bounce. Jake showing that it's important to be patient here as you wait for your pass. But sometimes you've just got to commit and go for it. Getting that blunt in to get points on the board. He's moving so fast, he's actually out of our camera's frame. And that is time for Jake's second ride.
Yeah, not a bad score. I do believe that does beat his first ride score. I'm not too sure. I don't remember it quite well. We shall see.
So 158.33, so not quite as high as his first ride score, but still 378.33. So what score is Jake looking to have to break into our top 20?
So currently in 20th place, we still have Daniel Donald Jones holding holding it with 610 points.
So that is, Dano is going to be our bubble boy. That's a tough place to be sitting as we watch this last heat. Visa setting it off with a beautiful Pan Am, going for a clean blunt to the right. Spinning it around here. That's right. Those clean blunts need to be done without initiation stroke. A beautiful clean back blunt there. Spinning it around. Visa surfing all the waves at home in Finland. Another clean blunt going into an air screw to the right. You can see him start to find his rhythm, find that sweet spot of the wave as he goes from maybe a Pan Am to the left. His boat is that blue bottom, white top. It's almost like blends in perfectly with the water, doesn't it? That was a huge back Pan Am. I could still see that. Going for that blunt McNasty and maybe just flushing out.
Yeah, it was a beautiful textbook blunt nasty. Unfortunately, he does flush out, getting himself dragged out of the back. That's something we've seen a lot with the blunt nasties here today. I think we've seen maybe 2, maybe 3 people stick them successfully, but they've been really challenging.
The challenge is, right, is that as you throw the first trick, you're already moving up the wave. And then if that second trick isn't bringing you back down the wave on a feature such as this one, it does become hard to retain the feature. So Visa's score still flashing as they settle that.
All right, in the meantime here, you see that little banner with a bunch of the sponsors of this event, including Synovus Bank, TSYS, Georgia Power, AC Hotels, Columbus, Phoenix City, Coca-Cola.
Yeah, so Visa's second ride score was around the 700-point mark, putting him at 1,000 combined, which does, I believe, put him into that top 20.
Yeah, so he's safely in there, and now it is up to David, who I believe with his first run put himself into the top 20. Anyway, he wants to climb the ranks. He wants to be way up there in that top 5. Unfortunate flush. He kind of did a nice big Pan Am, but then subbed his boat out completely and popped out behind the wave.
Took me a second there because my jaw actually dropped open in that moment of horror. Oh no, oh no. It happens to even the best of us here as the wave just takes over. Oh my goodness. Ugh, that's a...
Yeah, it's a good thing he still got 2 more runs to go, though.
It is indeed. But that is a stressful position to be sitting in. But let's see, our last heat here of the day in the men's kayak preliminary round. So over, my goodness, I'm bad at math, but over 40 paddlers cutting down to the top 20. 16 countries represented here at this World Championship. So David's sitting at 633 points for his first ride score. He'll be looking to better that. But right now it's Oliver Hepp trying to get as many points on the board as he can. So Oliver also catching an unfortunate flush his last ride, and he'll be looking to better that score. Going for a blunt to start things off. Surfing off to that dangerous zone there. I can see him working his way back over, spinning it around, using that time to set up. Trying for the blunt again. There it is. See if the judges reward his efforts on that trick. So maybe at some point trying for a shove it in there. Up, working up the bubble, and that is Oliver out of the wave. So as the clock runs down here, I believe Oliver's ride score will be around 35 points. There it is, solidifying in. He still has 1 more ride to go. But, you know, it's got to be tough to be in the last heat of men here. To, like, you know, some people would argue it's an advantage to see all the points ahead of you, and so you know exactly what score you need to put together to make it into the top 20. But at the same time, it is stressful. It is hard to sit and wait around all day for your 4 rides. But right now, dropping in the man of the hour, Matt Hargrove, with a clean spin. I wonder if he learned that from Eric Jackson. That was amazing. Spinning it around the other way, showing that control. Matt teaching kayaking for Team River Runner, as well as others, helping introduce countless people to the sport and joys of kayaking. Goes for a roundhouse there, spinning it around, getting a little bit of bounce on that as he brings his boat back forwards. Oh no, and then he hits that flush zone. But still, 35 points on the board for Mr. Matt Hargrove.
All right, so here we're just seeing on the replay as he's working his way around, getting a... We're still waiting on his final score there. Well, that was his 3rd run score, putting him a combined of, I think that was 63 points.
Respectable. Matt's first World Cup competition, but next up, Jake Boswell out of Great Britain. Oh my goodness, working to retain the features. He dropped in kind of high on that, setting things up with a blunt or a roundhouse right off the bat there. working to get that boat all the way backwards. Spinning it around. Maybe going to try for a shove it here. Oh, nope, a flashback. That's a bit better. Jake showing control of the feature as he looks to set up and find that sweet spot, trying for that roundhouse and really just struggling to get the rotation front to back. It's hard to get your setup angle right, and if you don't get that quite right, the rest of the trick is also very challenging. So Jake with a score slightly lower than his first 2 rides, so I don't think we'll see his current score or position change after that.
Yeah, but I do expect to see a lot more in his last ride. We know he's capable of doing it. He showed us a teaser of what he's able to do in his first 2 rides, so
absolutely,
we'll be looking forward to that.
And still, you know, just so much fun to be out here with your friends, with everybody from around the world competing here on the world stage. But now, Visa Rekola of Finland, current silver medalist, and showing us why with that huge Pan Am, followed right up by a back Pan Am, back blunt, going for the clean blunt to the right, catching an edge, and still, oh, gutted, absolutely gutted to see him catch that edge.
Yeah, something we've been seeing quite a lot, especially with the more aggressive early style. We've seen that happen a decent amount.
But that was just the textbook back Pan Am right there. Look at that, clean blunt.
Yeah.
So stylish.
And then as we watch this replay here, to explain a little bit, we like to nerd out a lot. We talk about the different boats, the design. We call them names like Gigi Prod or Jackson. Those are brands. So at this competition, there's a whole bunch of them all around the world. But this competition, you'll see a lot. Oh, his score locking in at 393. He will not be using that ride. His first 2 were better. But yeah, this competition, you'll see brands like Canoe-Kayak, which is dominant in North America. You see Gigi Prod, which is absolutely dominant in Europe. We also see a few like Vida, Piranha, Liquid Logic, and
Dagger.
That's
right. Even a few wave sports out there occasionally. But right now, David McClure dropping in his Gigi Helixer. Or not the Helixer, but beautiful air screw to start things off. It's followed up by a blunt there. Blunt the other direction. So David, very strong technical paddler, has really worked hard in the last few years to come up in his skills in both whole boating and wave boating, having made it to the finals in the World Championship, the current European champion. He's going to be looking to prove that he can do that here on a wave as well as a whole. Nice back blunt right there. Taking up the points, 10 seconds still to go as he goes for a blunt, maybe not scoring that. Air screw. Going for a clean blunt or a Pan Am the other direction. It's so hard to see as the camera moves around here what exactly is happening, but putting him in a 500-point ride, which is a respectable ride score for this preliminary round.
Yeah, so we are about to move on to our 4th and final rides for all of these paddlers. This is going to be the ride where many of their goals are reached or completely lost. I think many of these paddlers are already in. I believe we have David McClure, who's already made it into the top 20. We've got Visa, who I believe also put himself into the top 20 as well.
That's right. So we've got Jake trying to break in there. So the others, so the score that they need combined is a 610. So they must beat 610 combined to earn themselves a spot in the top 20 and to get to compete again tomorrow. So Dano Jones sitting on the edge of his pants there, sitting on the edge of his seat. It's a tough position to be in, but right now, all eyes on Oliver Hepp out of Austria. Dropping in here. What does he have for us? Starting things off strong with a roundhouse or a blunt. Spinning out, getting ready to set up for his next trip. Again, not quite getting the roundhouse because he's not actually getting his boat all the way backwards on that trick. So you must have that full 180 degrees of horizontal rotation.
Yeah, so our score sheet hadn't quite updated. It is actually 686 to make it into the top 20. We'll have to see if Oliver is able to pull out some last-minute tricks here.
Stakes just got higher.
He seems to be looking to set up for potentially a back trick. No, going for the front, maybe a roundhouse. Not quite getting the pass with a few seconds left. Attempts to throw it, doesn't quite retain the feature, but that'll be it for Oliver Hepp.
Still a strong performance here at this World Cup. So, I think the best thing in some ways about competition is that you get 45 seconds where the ride is only yours. And I'll tell you, after waiting in that practice line yesterday, that is pretty awesome. But now, hometown hero, local man of the hour, Matt Hargrove, dropping in for his 4th and final ride here at the World Cup, selling it with that clean spin, paddle high in the air, going back again just in case as he uses the paddle blade to just bring that spin around. That was awesome.
You love to see it, people bringing out the clean spins, the stylish spins. All we need to see now is a paddle twirl spin, and I think we've got that pretty much all of it.
Yesterday in the squirt boat competition, we actually had one of the athletes, Hunter Brandsetter, slowly rise up with his hand first from his mystery move, waving at the judges. That was one of my personal highlights of the day. Matt going for the roundhouse there, going back for it again, trying really hard to get as many points on the board, and I think they scored that. That is amazing. I can see the points ticking in here. Does he have a roundhouse the other direction? 1 second left. What a ride for Matt Hargrove. Fantastic.
Yeah, he's going to be stoked. He's had a blast out here. His family's having a blast. His friends are having a blast. We all love to see him out on the water.
Yeah, it is. I think he is just such a wonderful ambassador for the sport of kayaking. You know, again, working with Team River Runner, working with Uptown Columbus here to really help promote this area and the Chattahoochee River as a world-class destination, and it is. It is a world-class destination.
And now we have Jacob Boswell dropping in, looking to set himself up for a nice right blunt, lining himself up for a nice left backstab.
So Jake is looking to break into that top 20, and he's going to be knowing that every second, every move counts here. He goes to spin it up one direction, spins the other direction.
Spin it around the world.
Yeah, he might be trying to link those spins to get as many points as possible, going for that blunt. I keep forgetting that you can blunt and then spin, which is getting a link bonus, right?
Yes.
So like as the rules change, it's important to be able to keep up with them and remember, how do you maximize your points?
There's a nice backstab the other direction. Yeah, so a spin just has to be at 360 degrees. It does not matter what direction you start in. So let's say you blunt and you land backwards, and you keep spinning until you're backwards again. That is a linked.
That is
and now you're getting the link bonus on the blunt and a link bonus on the spin, which is a huge amount of points combined.
It is, and so it's important to know how these scores work here to be able to maximize the score sheet and your time on the wave. Because again, 45 seconds goes quickly.
Yeah, so there we saw one of his nice backstabs. His score currently sitting at the 85, 88. Maybe it'll hit the 90 or the 100 mark. Let's see. I believe his first couple rides he had around the 200 mark-ish. So I'm not sure this will be a ride that he's going to be going with. But there it is, 100.
Yeah, scores are still flashing here. Yep, 100 points. That is finalized. So Jake, unfortunately, not able to break into that top 20, but still strong rides, consistent rides for Jake out of Great Britain.
And next up, we've got Visa Racola. He's coming in. He is currently sitting in 11th position, which would put him in the second heat of quarterfinals. He wants to jump up at least one more position to get into that third heat.
No, so he'll start. Oh yeah, yes, exactly, exactly. Because they go from the bottom up.
Yes, that was a beautiful, clean, massive backstab. Might even been a backpan end with that angle. Another clean blunt. Really racking up those bonuses.
Visa consistent on his moves as he moves from trick to trick, kind of keeping to that routine here on his ride, going for the air screw, having to repeat that trick, trying for the clean blunt, maybe getting a clean roundhouse out of it.
See if he tries that one again.
Nah, he's going to go for the back Pan Am, worth way more points.
He's going to go for the other direction now. There it is, landing it. Does he? I couldn't see his boat for a second since it matched the water.
It does. It matches the water, and it's underneath our top 5 there. So luckily, the judges are live judging. They're calling it as they see it. They are not watching video feedback or play-by-play. So they have to call it as they see it here on the wave to see will Visa top his earlier ride scores and move up in the rankings. I think he will.
I think that's definitely going to have topped his score, bump him up a few slots, put him into that third heat. Again, the later on in the heats you are, the more chance you get to study what your opponents are doing. And all the ones before you are the ones that were already lower ranked than you. So if you can study them and beat them, you know you can make yourself up into that semifinals for the next day.
That's right. So I'm waiting for the scores to flash here, somewhere in the 600-point range right now, which would definitely boost Visa's score. Look at that back Pan Am replay. Absolutely huge. And then just bouncing off the wave. So I don't know if they would have scored that last trick. But gosh, it looked fun. So much airtime.
And there was that scary air screw for a second. It looked like he was going to sub out with his bow in the water.
It did. Oh, and that was that beautiful air screw, clear of the foam. He just was like, let's do it again. Let's sell it to the judges. So I didn't see what Visa's final score was there.
That bumped him up into 7th position with a combine of 13:51. So he will be going in that third heat in semifinals or quarterfinals.
So now David McClure currently sitting in 9th position. So this ride is only going to determine where he is ranked for tomorrow. Starting off with that clean blunt there. Getting some air on that for sure. Sometimes it's hard to tell. Did they get air? And other times you're like, yep, that is a definite air bonus. Spinning it around, maybe getting a roundhouse there. Going for a back loop by accident, but somehow retaining the feature. Oh, little air guitar there just for fun. He's like, yeah, that happened. Maybe going for a clean Pan Am. And now he's just having fun with it.
Look at that score go up as the bonuses on that Pan Am clicked in. That was huge.
Yeah. Team Palm Paddler just out here having fun as he goes for that blunt. Looking for the McNasty. I can't even tell you what happened because the foam obscured my vision.
Yeah, we'll see if what goes up on the scoreboard for that, but I couldn't see anything, and I'm not sure if the judges could see any more than we could.
It's tough. It's a tough position to be in. But, oh my gosh, what a day here at the ICF World Cup in Columbus, Georgia, Phoenixville, Alabama. That was our last paddler.
Yeah, so we're
here
just
for
waiting
today
on the final rankings here so we can announce our qualifications for quarterfinals. But I believe we already know who they are. We're just deciding on if David has moved himself around.
I can see paddlers already lining up to get in the water for some practice rides for tomorrow. EJ, Eric Jackson, not one to waste a minute of wave time here, already dropping in. So David's second ride, 561.67, putting him at a combined score of 1206.66, which should move him into that top 10.
Yeah, so he is in 9th. So now we do know our qualifying for quarterfinals. So going from top to bottom, we'll have, this will be in reverse order as well. So the first person I list is the last person to go in quarterfinals. In first right now, Dane Jackson of the United States, Nick Troutman of Canada, Mason Hargrove of the United States, Harry Price of Great Britain, Bartosz Stojana of Poland, Caleb Grady of Canada, Visa Rakola of Finland, Alan Ward of Great Britain, David McClure of Ireland, Stephen Wright of the United States in 10th, Thomas Klapicki of Poland, Eric Jackson of the United States, Tom Dolly of France, Luke Pomeroy of Canada, Ryosuke Tamaji of Japan, Corey Sheehan of the United States, Robert Crow of Great Britain, Gavin Barker of Great Britain, John Best also of Great Britain, and rounding up our top 20 is Kenji Honda of Japan. So we will all see them tomorrow in the quarterfinals.
Yeah, lots more to come. Tomorrow will also be the women's preliminary rounds as well as the junior women's.
Yeah, so a few last things is we've already, although it wasn't streamed, we already have a few medalists that we've announced for this World Cup final in squirt boating. So in squirt boating, women, the gold medal went to Audley Robertson-Shaw of Great Britain, silver medal to Hitomi Takaku of Japan, and bronze medal to Anna Bruno of the United States. In men's squirt, the medals went to gold for Taft Sibley, who I believe also scored a record score for in ICF history.
Especially with no flat water.
Especially with no flat water. He might have even gotten the most downtime in ICF history. I don't know about that. We'll have to check that one. Silver went to Stephen Wright of the United States, and bronze went to Clay Wright, also of the United States. So that is the current medals so far. We've also had some qualifications for semifinals for the junior men's. As a reminder, those are Nanase Okazaki of Japan, Mateo Williams of Australia, or New Zealand, my bad. I'm going to get a lot of shit for that.
Oh, hey, watch those language here. Family friendly.
Ani Eronen of Finland, Landon Miller of the United States, Gail Bale of France, Cameron Linhart of United States, Mateo Kowalczyk of United States, Magnus Manson of United States, Walker Edens of the United States, Ian Cieslak of the United States. Thank you very much.
So that's right. So well done to all of our athletes and competitors out here on this good wave today here on the Chattahoochee River. So some hearts were broken, some dreams were realized, and there's still so much more to come. So be sure that you join us tomorrow. What time are we kicking things off, Zach?
We're going to be kicking things off tomorrow at 8:15 with the women's prelim rounds. There will be 4 heats ending at around 11 o'clock. Then we will have the junior women's prelims at 11:15. Men's open canoe, or men's C1, my bad, at 12:15. Women's C1 at 1:45. Open canoe at 2:30. And then the men's quarterfinals will be starting and will ending the day at 3:30.
So big day here still ahead, and then finals to follow on Sunday. Check back on the ICF website for the full schedule. We'll do our best to keep you updated. Thanks all for watching.
And this is Zach.
And this is Anna.
Signing out.